Everything worked the first time. All right, all right. So I'm very frustrated, meaning not a feeling I have, but it's an act you do to say you start doing something, you are frustrating them. Okay, we got a bit of a time delay on the video here on my viewfinder, but that's okay. So let's see. I got two. I I don't know, Mike. If you've been following the news, you already know everything crazy right now. Okay, I got to change the name of this video. Crackheads, Coyotes, and Criticality. Incident. Oops. Incident. Shift tab. Press this. Where is it? Where is the cursor? There we go. So that's of interest to you if you live here. You might not get a renewal notice for your documents in Ontario. And a lot of us, that don't mean shit because we keep track of it, and if your address don't get updated soon enough or whatever, you know when your shit comes due. And what this basically does is it stops them from sending out millions of letters that get sent back or whatever. So what is it? 10. I think there's 10 million drivers and 12 million vehicles in this province. I could be off by a bit. 14.5 million people officially, 14.5 million square kilometers officially. I think there's 250,000 truck drivers and 500,000 people employed in the truck driving industry. So I got some here. I'm going to attempt to, okay, where are we? I'm going to attempt to report some problematic shit to this is the weird link. This is the weird one. This is the weird one. I mean, it's not that weird. It's weird that like the media jumps on it. So it says 11-year-old girl who bathed in hot spring diagnosed with gonorrhea. Case study. Now, this is not that surprising if you understand how disease works. Hot springs are disgusting. But it's kind of interesting that the media jumps on, oh, it's an 11-year-old girl with gonorrhea that she got from bathing in filthy water. Right, okay. Do they mention small children who have been sexually assaulted in the care of the Children's Aid having gonorrhea? No, they won't mention that. They won't talk about it. They won't spend the $5 or whatever for the Freedom of Information Act type shit. Let's see here. So what do we have? We have coyotes in the neighborhood. How about I tell you guys what I'm going to try to tell the city? There are coyotes. Let's see. I saw one on October I believe the 18th. Remember, October 14th, these people are giving vaccines with no gloves. They did it again. They're giving vaccines with no gloves. Now, people serving food, picking at open sores. They go like this. They scratch at their open sores, and then they're touching people's cups like that. I don't know. Where's my cup? I have a coffee cup here? Okay, I don't have a cup. But if I'm handing you your cup, I should touch it like this. If I touch it like this, yeah, you filthy motherfuckers do that to any visible minority you can, every chance you get. And I've been blabbing about you on this channel for a long time. Let's see, criticality incident. Let me change the title here, because I'll never get to it if I don't do it at the beginning here. Criticality incidents. The ventilation system for this building was installed between 74 and 76. The last pieces of it would have been put in 76 at the top of the building. And that leaves 45 years that the system has not been cleaned, as far as I know. That means it's filthy with uranium particulate. Yes, it is. What does that mean? It means if enough uranium dioxide, whatever, gets sucked into it, you can cause a criticality incident. Oh, my. And there's also, what did I see? So in October on the 18th, around 7 p.m., I believe was the sunset time, I see a skinny coyote, straight up coyote, running down the railroad tracks here, going downtown, which is eastbound. And he looks skinny compared to his tail. His head looked like a coyote, not no mixed blood thing. And then yesterday I see one that looked like a dog. It looked like a cat. Actually, it had a sort of a feline look to it, which was odd. But just that those traits are not the coyote traits. Those are domestic dog traits. The thing run from the south side of the road. Crackheads. Coyotes, comma, space, Ethereum, or sorry, ampersand. By the way, it's not an at symbol, it's an Ethereum. Coyotes, Crackheads, Coyotes, and Criticality. Criticality. Should I put Criticalities? Criticality. Where's the Y? Criticality. I got 15 letters left. Should I put excursions or incidents? Incidents. Oh, I got just enough letters to put. Oh my. Comma, space, O, space, MY. Does it all fit? Damn. I can put O, and it's close enough. Click save. I can't see myself and I can't think while I'm typing. Come on, you can do this. All right, so this Coyote run from the south side of Pelham to the north side, which is industrial type shit, and a schoolyard that are directly to the north of some railroad tracks. So there's railroad tracks, these properties, a street, runs across the street. The car is coming slow the fuck down. I guess they thought it was a dog or so. You don't know what it is. Okay. On the highway, don't do that. In the city, you should do that. Okay. If the person behind you hits you in the city, that's because they were tailgating you. It is not on you. It is on them not to do that. The racing driver instructor that gave me the lessons, taught me how to drive, told me don't worry about what's behind you. That's their problem. You worry about what's in front of you. Okay, and let's see, what else did I cover? We got backed up storm drains. Exciting. It amazes me. These people that work here, well, I don't even need to call the city, do I? I'm just going to fucking say everything I got to say here. And even if you don't like the videos I make, check out the playlists I make, because those are other people's videos, and there's some interesting shit in there. Okay? There's the favorites list. There's one called Edutainment. There's one called Music Only. So you put it side backwards, upside down, so you can see it. That's the Vanden Kirchhoff. You check out some of them videos I just put in to the music list, you'll find that shit. Or the watch out list. There we go. Oh, what is this? Now, let's see. This is, I don't know if this is a fault of the watch or the sleeves being torn. If I can pull it, there we go. So it's wrapped around. It wasn't caught right on the crown. It has to do with these crown guards. Let's see it. In any event. All right. Oh, and got the credit reports here. We're gonna check transit. I'm getting letters about collections and shit that got nothing to do with me. Okay, you keep misspelling my name. I've never had an account with my name misspelled ever. Okay, I'll give you a little hint. The cops that already got caught writing bogus tickets to people that they weren't stopping, okay, same guys. Okay, you want the proof? I can hand my passport, my driver's license, everything to these guys. Okay, it wouldn't matter what it was. They would. I know I've said they never seen my proof of citizenship because they haven't. But whatever documentation I give, they can look at it, write it down wrong, looking at it. Okay. So when they're going over their notes later to write me fake tickets after the fact, and they've done this numerous times, they misspell it, of course. If it's misspelled on the credit report, it ain't mine. It ain't mine. It's that simple. Okay, you want proof? All the addresses that are tied to it, no association with me. The government has no record of me ever being at those addresses, nothing to do with me. And they're all post office boxes. Hello, clue in. And so, of course, this is sort of a video log, captain's log. I would be Captain Vanden Kirchhoff. Let's
Yeah, we real for the street niggas, man. The voice of the streets.
I may or may not put. Oh.
Well, the short-handed Raptors continue their road trip in Sacramento tonight. Radio 640 Toronto.
By the way, Belarus, Poland, Russia, China, North Korea.
Insightful, engaging, and
yeah, they do that on purpose. They know they're a minute into the top of the hour.
You're listening to Global News Radio 640 Toronto. This is Global News at 4 o'clock. Good afternoon. I'm Danny Longo. It's cloudy.
That looks right there in the picture, but in reality, look at it. It's
fully
like
vaccinated Canadians and permanent residents making short trips to the U.S. will no longer need a costly COVID-19 test in order to return home. But travelers who are out of the country for more than 72 hours will still have to present a negative molecular test at the border on their way home. Health Minister
a molecular test? What's that?
With more Canadians getting vaccinated every day, we can move forward, though cautiously, towards a more open border.
Remember, they haven't talked about the double hybrid variant out of California in about 8 months. They refuse to mention it. They're not talking about, you will find references to this if you look for it. They're not talking about the Western Canadian variant. That's a thing now. You people let it spread so much, we've got our own variant. Congratulations. Congratulations. I know I could crack some Western Canadian jokes. I'm just not in the mood to. You already know how them people are. All the fucking people that are too much waste for us over here in Toronto, we push them that way, west. Yeah, you don't have to like that. That's what we do.
Pfizer COVID-19 vaccine for kids 5 to 11 years old. Northbound down.
To what end? Oh, by the way, I found out apparently I was wrong. They do use gamma radiation to quote unquote sterilize medical stuff that they sell. And the reason I didn't think they did, first of all, they used to use microwaves. Second of all, it don't sterilize shit. They still find DNA. You know what a virus is? DNA. Oh, but a virus isn't alive, so it can be covered in viral material and still be, yes. So I'm sorry, YouTube. Maybe you were correct. But you told me that I was saying bad things about vaccines, and that's not what happened. They're doing something that is not a real medical practice and calling it medical. And I'm waving at the radio because it's them that said it, not me.
Trafalgar and just typical volume on the eastbound 401, but trouble-free as well.
There's no
The
news.
Pfizer BioNTech pediatric COVID-19.
There's no news. There's no news. There's no news. Okay, so Germany, Angela Merkel, I think it was, asked Vladimir Putin to intervene between Belarus, which that RUS, the Belarusian, what's the word I'm looking for? It's not diaspora, it's something else. It's not peninsula, it's something I can't fucking remember. Is it a peninsula? It's not a peninsula. So there are all sorts of people in the woods between Poland and Belarus that are being used as pawns. And I like what Putin had to say about that.
Data globally demonstrating a lower risk of inflammation of the heart, especially in younger individuals if you separate the doses by 2 to 3 months.
No, that's made up.
When he fatally shot 2 protesters during public unrest following the police shooting of a black man in Kenosha, Wisconsin last year. Now, following the verdict, his attorney, Mark Richards, said his client's grateful. He has a huge sense of relief for what the jury did to him today, and he wishes none of this would have ever happened. He added he has to go on with his life as best he's can.
Shut up.
The district
I have to go on with my life. No, you don't. What you
react
did is worth a death sentence times 2,
violence.
stupid.
President Joe Biden says he stands by what the jury has
I'm right, I have to have it. No, you don't.
We have to abide by
You
it.
people are constantly having to touch me, grab me, demand the stuff that you see in my possession, spit in my face. You're going to tell me you need something. You don't need nothing.
Scrapping a COVID testing rule for Canadians who are fully vaccinated and taking. House choked up, fell to the floor, then hugged one of his lawyers as the verdict was read out in court in Kenosha, Wisconsin. Rittenhouse's lead lawyer, Mark Richards, says it's been a difficult 3 weeks.
There were times we doubted the case. There were times we were confident.
It's been so difficult. We doubted the case. You doubted the case.
Gross misunderstatement.
The Rittenhouse pleaded self-defense in the shooting of August 2020.
You can't do
It
both.
became a flashpoint in America's debate over guns, vigilantism,
You
and
can't
racial
plead
injustice.
guilty and then say it
He
was
was
self. It's
17
two
when he
different
went
things.
from
If
his
it was
home in Illinois
self-defense,
to
you're not
Kenosha
guilty of a
with an
crime. What are you
illegally
talking about?
purchased AR semi-automatic rifle after businesses in the city were
It wasn't
ransacked
fully
and murdered
semi-automatic.
by a black man by a white police officer.
An AR-15 is a hobbyist rifle. It's a civilian rifle. It's like a jack of all trades, master of none.
103 loss in Utah last night. That was their
It is not a military weapon. 7 years elapsed from its introduction to the civilian market before its adoption by the military.
That matches the highest position reached by the team. Canada's latest jump was fueled by World
War I was 4 years and World War II was 6 years. 7 years.
Download our new Sky Tracker app and have weather alerts sent right to your phone. The forecast.
This PCR test. To come back again, I need to do
PCR test. I'm gonna while I say it, and that means it's not important. You know the You know.
Vaccination, their feeling is better safe than sorry because COVID variants can always break through.
Oh, better safe than sorry. We should be vaccinated without testing because that's safer than testing. That is essentially what I know. I've reversed what they said in that sentence, but that's what they're telling us. Oh, if you're vaccinated, we don't need to do the test. This is what's being said everywhere. The schools, the border, people going to work, everything. Oh, if you're not vaccinated, you have to get tested. If you're vaccinated, you don't have to get tested. Really, the people that are breeding the resistant forms of this virus. I love hearing crackheads trying to explain to me how DNA works. I love that. They've been yelling at me, spitting at me for a couple of years now over my genetic blood disorder. They're telling me now how genetics works. Oh, really? Just like you've been telling me for 30 years about eugenics, right? Right. Oh, and yes, I've dealt with more than my fair share. Maybe it's my fair share of racism. I guess any share of racism is more than your fair share. Let's see. I could do a couple different things for music here. I'm gonna just press.
Black time. Yeah, the niggas that be on the soil, you on the turf out here.
My brain is my gun, and my words. My mouth is my gun, and my words are my bullets. So every time they're talking about guns again. They're talking about guns again. The precedent was set in like 1987. When we're talking about guns, they're not guns.
Wait, you know what I mean? Hey, we got that military shit, nigga.
See, Dolores talk good. Anyway.
Bullets by the ton. I like you don't know. Let's run it.
I doubt you want some hot lamp blood in your outfit. Ain't no bringing back the bullet once I let the hammer hit you. Hammer and damage, and I know what you dealing with. Trying to fuck fear me, but nigga, I ain't feeling it. It's heavy on niggas talking more than what you show. Cause you say just cause the niggas he know. Niggas gang, listen up, check this out. Damn, what you talking about? I ain't giving a fuck about you because it's all fresh. I hit a discussion like bitches, not just. I'll stop you in the middle of your sentence like a dog. You'll look like I'm blind. I'll be getting with your brain and the chest. It's all for you and anyone that takes chances. Such as you washed up like shells in your stomach. My gun is on the shells in your stomach.
Right into our hearts, really. I'm gonna do like the radio DJs. You get 30 seconds and that's it. By the way, this is the reason I started the video before I'm ready, so you can see demonstrably the effect, okay? I'll be calm in a minute and be able to deal with these assholes on the phone. No point calling up saying, your fucking people keep spitting in my face trying to kill us off, and I need you to do me a favor. Why is it always a favor? How come when you're at work answering a phone, it's your job to answer the phone? It don't matter how many calls you answer, you get paid by the hour, the week, whatever. Why do you think everything's a favor? It's not a favor. You having a job's a favor. So one thing my grandfather always said, I didn't need to be told it really, but the world doesn't owe you a living. Now the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedom says you have the right to pursue a livelihood. Okay? You can do something to make money or to make your way in life. Because what we call money, these people keep telling us are products and that their pieces of paper with their word on it is money. Well, it's not money because you took it from us. You borrowed it out of thin air on the word of how you own our property. That's what you did. $2 trillion. And we own Clearwater. We own 50%, but that's close enough. You own half of $1 billion corporation. That's close enough.
Stupid Johnny dog. She's special loving, #1 hot stun phone cup, go summer hot bitches roll up, go bitches so what? Know what my flows bucket toes up, so what my nose up, your head down, no doubt about it. Make the bitch scream, make you wanna fall about it. Limo, I be up and out it, talking all up in the fire, shining like the stars. They know who we are, they know who I am, motherfucker from the trace. You know who I am, motherfucker, get it right. I be so high, fucking on push. Never need to worry, cause I get it by the bush. And I get it by the power, you get it by the G. You be running around the town at the same. I need a face, you ain't one of them. Young fled, I go harder than the rest of them. That's what people saying, I'm the best and all the best of them.
I just want to point something out. The sun is going to go down at 4:48 p.m. or some shit. That's no fucking joke. Not even 5 o'clock, the sun going to go down. Yo, man, what up? Forgive me for not being too much into the talk. I'll answer you if you chat, but always all this. My feet? No, I can't because I got boots on. Yeah, I'm going to press this while I
Stupid Johnny dog. If you're looking for me, I'll be on the block. Same time, constantly sitting on the drive. They just wanna hate, they wanna spot. When haters and snitches, they get hot.
just want it. I don't have the best photography of these things at the moment, but I can show you they exist. This is a fucking mango, believe it or not. I planted a mango stone, and I'll call that 23 inches. Wasn't expecting. I don't know how these things go to like 60 feet tall or some shit. I don't know what I'm gonna do, but I just had to share that. I hate to tell you this, but like, we can interact all you want, but just because you came from one group don't mean I got something to say about it. I'm gonna press this button again. Once this is in my system, I'm gonna attempt to call the city. If it takes more than 60 seconds, I ain't doing it. We'll go back to the news.
Everybody acting like they ain't got reaction like hustle on the block. I call it a transaction like you don't fuck with platinum like come on baby platinum like game ain't over. This is still perfection like Saskatoon, city of rock. I got cocaine, marijuana, shit don't stop. I get your teeth knocked out if you're out on my block. I got the steel cock shout if you ain't on top. And then the boys call me rich man, don't tell me pretty boy. Still on my hit man, I ain't talking shit Jordan. Listen to me right now, like nothing right now. I'm talking shit and I'll be seeing you tonight.
Les composantes électroniques et la réalité augmentée.
Wow. Là, vous allez devoir m'expliquer certains des termes que vous avez employés, M. Larocque.
Pardon?
Vous allez devoir m'expliquer certains des termes que vous venez d'employer. Vous avez parlé de comment vous avez dit, de crochage de serrure?
Oui, en fait, du lockpicking ou du crochetage de serrure, c'est dans le domaine de la cybersécurité. Il y a aussi la sécurité physique qu'il ne faut jamais oublier. Par exemple, moi, je suis aussi un expert en infiltration physique. C'est-à-dire qu'on peut regarder ou tester le périmètre physique des entreprises afin de déceler des vulnérabilités physiques. Et ça, ben, ça commence avec le crochetage de serrure.
Donc, pour être capable...
I'm confused. When did I ever show you my feet to end up in your feet lovers group?
Voilà.
I don't get it.
Comme par exemple, si on a un serveur qui est dans un local verrouillé, ben, certains types de sécurité
to get at least out of the water, and then from there, it's a.
Here are the top stories.
Leurs habiletés techniques.
Voyons
he was 17 during anti-police protests in Kenosha, Wisconsin in 2020, claiming self-defense. Pfizer's COVID-19 vaccine for kids at 5 to 11 given a go-ahead from Health Canada, and we could see shots in little arms as
But to what end? What's the purpose of giving them the vaccine?
And no more PCR tests for international travelers coming back into Canada.
Okay, so it's already come out in court that if you have natural immunity, you are 27 times more likely to have serious problems if you get the vaccine after the fact. It's already been demonstrated the vaccine has more risk than the actual virus to children. So to what end are you trying to vaccinate kids? I don't understand. You want it emergency approved. You don't even want to test it, and you want the fastest test with the study possible, taking every shortcut possible. And remember, this all comes back to race again too. If I have a side effect and they've already tested my blood, they know I'm black, and I tell them I'm black, they will still write it down as being about white people. And since there's so many white people, it's a minority of no, they play games with this nonstop. Feet lovers. I'm wearing size. Is it because I'm wearing size 14s? The steel toes are 14. If they're not steel toe, I wear 13s. Okay. I just don't understand. It says we come from the feet lovers group. Someone shared us here live. I don't know. I tried skipping that 2 minutes ago.
Oh, yeah, no, you're gonna like that, really.
Hello.
You have 50 load for trying to show where your phone is disconnected. Hmm? You have a house, but you don't have any house key.
Where's Boyo?
You have a condo, but you don't have any furniture.
Yeah.
Police are knocking on your door. You are scared every time they don't knock. Your bank account is empty, but you're popping this of speed at the club.
I don't even feel like calling the city. I swear, it's such a waste of time.
Come on, the lights will show. The money will blow. And when the money will blow, you have to go.
Watch your back, he's a scammer. He constantly watching them cameras. Opposite should have some manners. Black and white team like a panda. Credit card, scammers. Credit card, scammers. Credit card, scammers. Credit card, scammers. They got me Tony Montana. Monitors work for my grandma. Wipe a house one in Atlanta. Lagos is Jollof and Panna. Credit card, scammers. Credit card, scammers. Credit card, scammers. Credit card, scammers. Watch your back, he's a scammer. He constantly watching them cameras. Opposite shoes have some manners. Black and white team like a panda. Credit card, scammers. Credit card, scammers. Credit card, scammers. Credit card, scammers. They got me Tony Montana. Monitors work for my grandma. Wipe a house one in Atlanta. Lagos is Jollof and Panna. Credit card, scammers. Credit card, scammers. Credit card, scammers. Credit card, scammers.
Just to be clear, it looks like I'm sticking something filthy from the floor in my mouth. I'm not touching the part that touched the floor to my mouth. Don't worry.
I'd like to take out another $1,000.
Okay, no problem.
Actually, can you make that $9,000?
Sir, the last 4 digits do not match.
Son knows I'm merchant of blood, fam.
Where is the blow? Told him I don't do the coco. Coda got caught by the popo. Me and the scam I
That's not my name.
Scam.
So this is also not my name, but you sent me the credit report anyway. Thank you, TransUnion. If you ever have to apply for credit in Canada and the company tells you they're going through TransUnion, don't bother. It's the most inaccurate one out there.
Trip to Miami, Aruba, Atlanta, hit up Dubai,
There's two.
is calling me right back to Canada.
They see you, they look like they lost. They see me, it's round of applause. The first time I did it for free, but they getting upset that I raised up the cost. Me and my haters, we boss. We never taking a loss. The first time I did it for free, now they getting upset that I raised up the cost.
Credit cards, scammers, white and black, panda, money can't handle it. Credit damage the love. Who do they think they were talking about, bitch? What the fuck is your etiquette? No telling you paying for views, so you wanna fuck with that patient. Disrespect to my eardrums. Who gave you permission to spit? Who say you can order a lot to the people that act like you running the 6? I'm calling my dogs from the west, they attack you, be looking like Kegels and bits. I know you were talking about from when you claim your niggas be shooting the clips. Shooting the clips, you moving your lips. That's make you a blood and now you a crip. Stop talking that shit. Cash money, baby, throwing a fit. I throw you a bib. This nigga's a dog, you my little bitch. You my little bitch. You my little bitch.
No killer, no drug dealer. Your shoes fake, no Marcellas. You sweat cars, got no cheddar. If you great, then I'm better.
Money coming to me better. I ain't talking it if it ain't cheddar. Name another rapper, now I know him better. Posing with chains in that coochie sweater.
On the streets, on the block, you ain't lit, you ain't hot, you ain't big, you ain't pop. Agitate, run the clock. Agitate, run the clock.
Agitate, run the clock.
I'm gonna point some out here. You've got my correct birth date. It says here, May 4th, your information regarding your credit history was first reported to TransUnion on May 14th, 1999. Yes, I smoked the growth. On May 14th, 1999, I was 16. I could not legally apply for credit, nor could you legally make a credit report for me. So when I keep telling you this is not my information and it's fraudulent, you are committing a crime by not removing it. It says so on like page 8 here. I know it does because I've read these before. That if you don't update that, the law says you got to give me an opportunity to correct this, and you're not. This is 22 years later. You're still trying to hold me to a credit account that ain't mine. So it's something to do with a fucking post office box, which might be on here. Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna put the music back on for a second.
Ready gang is over, guess we in agreement. Drunk rubbing on the bottle like I need a genie. Still a freaking homie, that's a new achievement. Chest high, you could have settled this disagreement. This cat exposed himself, his look is so indecent. Thought they were solid, but I was broke to semen.
Box number doesn't matter. Scarborough Station, home. Yeah, my post office box is my home address. That's good. October 1st, 2003. Well, that's not true because I know that that's the address that got reported in May 14th, 1999. Because again, you couldn't have had a credit report. I couldn't have, oh fuck. So sometimes they'll update the date for old information. They'll, instead of backdating it, they'll forward date it so they can still legally hang on to it. It's within a certain number of years. I don't know what the fuck I'm putting this back on. Give me a second. Let's see.
Out of the northwest, periods of rain for Sunday.
Yeah, by the way, so BC had 48-degree high temperature Celsius temperatures Fahrenheit, that wouldn't be that bad. Celsius temperatures. They had drought, forest fires. They've had what do they call it, torrential downpours, the rain. Now they got flooding, wiped out the highways and things, no electricity, no phones, and now the shit's all freezing. So if you haven't, so you can go up in the probably that corner and type that in, BC News or something, and you will find a whole bunch of interesting shit.
She the Greek cause it's been seasoned, but let me cook like summer weekends. I couldn't look cause I was in the deep end. See, that just shows that these niggas shallow. Turn your backs on your homies for the hour, or maybe you was just too wild and you ain't want the status. Like that's G-Lock and Charlie Care if he had it. I'm still a savage, so you can keep.
Okay, so this gets weirder and weirder. So they can keep your credit information on a credit account for not more than 6 years. That's how it's phrased. Don't argue with me. It's 7 years. No, it's not. Not more than 6. 6 years in one day, it's got to, well, 6 years less one day, it comes off of there. You've got shit 2002, 2003, 2003, 2004, 2006. These are other people's phone numbers and shit. Like things that were, this is, you got to be so careful what you tell people when you're dealing with these companies because they'll write down anything and then tie it to your file. Somebody you met once and used their phone once has been getting calls about you for 20 years about your bank account or whatever, and you don't even realize. Okay, I still get bank cards mailed to me from banks I don't deal with. This is fucking ridiculous.
The love money you took.
I'm not even technically on. I'm on the top of page 3. There's 12 pages here. I just wanted to know what my fucking credit score was.
You and I, a big difference between a black boy and a crook. That's why we used to nice bad dogs. They're running scared, but they act on. For more than 20 years, so still violate you. Tell you what's love, and I don't want to hate you. It's usually your friend that set you up so the ops can annihilate you. You help them up, this nigga's kind of grateful. You cut it from a small vibe. You should think of one of these niggas. Not a small time. Niggas made their move and I was offline. Now if I react, it'll cost mine. yak could have cost my.
So another bank I don't deal with, it doesn't matter which one. I dealt with them at one point in time, and I haven't in years and years, is still checking my credit report every fucking month, apparently. It says I have a credit limit of $100 with them. I don't even know what the fuck they're talking about. How do I get my hands on that? See, I wouldn't even realize. I now remember the last time I checked TransUnion, which was a couple of years ago. I don't usually check it that often because it's so inaccurate. I do remember seeing this before, but I don't have an explanation for it. It says I have a $100 credit limit. Good thing I didn't mention the bank. A $100 credit limit with some bank that I know I'm not doing business with. 181 months you've been. That's 15 years, brethren. Holy shit. That's a lot.
And I think of all my niggas in the pen that had lost time.
That's static. I can't do nothing about it. It's the weather. Oh, fuck. Yes, I would love to just be rapping instead of thinking of all this shit right now. Let me think about that for a minute. God, because if it's going to sound shitty, I won't do it, okay? There's no point.
Dominated by two big airlines. But now, a period of price wars may be about to begin, according to the experts. It's as several low-cost airlines.
I gotta find this bank. How this bank
beefing up their operations over the past 6 months in preparation for a potential fare clash with Air Canada and WestJet. One of those new airlines is Flair. It's been around for a while, but it was down to just one aircraft in April. Now Flair has a dozen planes, with 4 more coming next year. Lynx Airlines is about to take flight, based out of Calgary. It's going to launch commercial.
Airlines are not investments. They close down and reopen all the fucking time.
But it's planning a fleet of 46 airplanes within 7 years. That's a big fleet. And these are two ultra low-cost airlines where you tend to pay extra for everything, even in some cases a carry-on bag. But the underlying base fare, much cheaper than what we're generally used to. Speaking of Air Canada, it says it's withdrawing from further federal relief money after borrowing more than $1 billion from taxpayers. Air Canada stock, though, closed down 2.4%. A lot of airline stocks were under pressure today amid some renewed COVID lockdowns globally. The TSX fell down 82 points to 21,555, capping off a money-losing week. A price of oil in a 6-week
I haven't said that in a while.
down 3.7% to $76.10. On Wall Street, the Dow fell 268 points to 35,601. S&P fell from a record down 6, but the Nasdaq set a fresh record up 63 points, closing about the 16,000 point mark. For the first time, tech stocks were strong everywhere you look today. Tesla up 3.7%, and on the Canadian side, Shopify added another percent to 2,139 a share. Canadian dollar 79.04 cents US. This is City News.
And business brought to you by IA Clarington Investments.
The best Black Friday sale ever is on now at 2001 Audio Video. All home audio, all streaming.
Everything sucks.
So we know what that signals. It signals that they're going to open things up for international travel, and a lot of people from those two respective countries, China and India, obviously have taken their own domestic vaccine, probably didn't get their hands on the Pfizer vaccine. So by opening it up to include more people, more global travelers, or people who, for whatever reason, have opted to get these vaccines in lieu of the readily available ones in this country that we fully sanction, now this is sort of open the sluices at both ends. For better, for worse, well, it depends on your circumstances, I guess, or who you want to see come into this country by way of visitation, as exchange students or visiting students, people who may seek gainful employment, just anyway, travelers and tourists. That is the most recent development as well. Maybe escape the scrutiny of most in the media, but I'm here to tell you the Sinopharm and Sinovac and Indian vaccine called Covaxin are now greenlit for use or for acceptance in Canada. Green-lighted means when you show your proof of vaccination, whereas up until now we'd say, no, it's got to be Pfizer or it's got to be the Moderna product. And we've also accepted, of course, AstraZeneca. This has certainly broadened the scope or the context of where you can be seen as valid for entry into this country.
Why is this showing it? Okay, it's illegal to show this, but it's here, but it's not on the other one. God damn it. This shows I pay my bills.
Any reports have sort of been clouded by
25 months.
The report that the kids are getting vaccinated as early as next week, 5 to 11, as their parents would see fit. Still going to be resistance or hesitancy. 64% only in favor to a recent poll. And some submitted yesterday when we opened the lines that they feel if their kids are 5, they're not really at any risk. And they're not worried about transmission or whatever. And so therefore, this constitutes a rather significant and critical mass of people who would be hesitant to have their kids vaccinated. So can we see that maybe mandates and vaccine passports would be soon to follow? Matter of fact, there was equal support for vaccine passports for kids as young as 5. All right, I'll leave that with you. Something we'll pick up on with our panel topics worthy of discussion in exactly an hour from now. Elsewise, we do have concerns about the Buy America First program being put forth by Joe Biden. Makes you wonder, is the Biden administration any more favorable to Canada than Trump was? You might even argue the obverse or the opposite, because Trump didn't cancel Keystone XL. Line 5 was still good to go, even though it's a Michigan call, I guess, at the end of the day. But this is where Vic Fideli,
remember which pipeline we're talking
about. Economic Development and Job Creation in the province of Ontario. Where does our auto sector stand if the Buy America and tax breaks or credits and subsidies are going to lead to $12,500 US towards the purchase of an EV made in the States, as well as the battery there? They want to make sure it's manufactured in that country with union labor. Where's that going to lead us? We'll find out in a moment from Mr. Fideli here on the Oakley Show. Global News Radio, 640 Toronto.
Understand the story. Global News Radio, 640 Toronto.
It's happening again. The #1 rematch team.
Some glass had fallen from a condo building earlier, so that section's still blocked off.
Hey, it's Toronto. That's part of the weather. Glass falling from high-rise buildings is part of the weather. It only happens from the top floors. It's never a ground-level window that just falls. It's always from like 100 floors up.
It's pretty quiet on the radar here across the GTA. It'll be quiet tonight.
Watch, she'll mention the glass. She will. She'll say it's windy, so watch out for glass. She will. What?
The cloudier side of things through the day tomorrow, but still have some peaks of sun, like we've got right now. Partly cloudy conditions downtown, 6 degrees. Mostly cloudy at Pearson and 5. The overnight low tonight, 0.
City News time 4:33.
This just into City News 680. We're learning spam texts are being sent out to some Ontarians pretending to be Ontario's vaccine booking system.
Richard Southern joins us live with the very latest.
So
Richard.
what?
Obviously, this could constitute
It's free. They don't get your credit card number.
Potentially, Scott, here's what.
See, everything sucks. Even the news sucks. Like, it's not that the news is bad. Their just coverage sucks.
Spam text messages. These are individuals who have booked COVID appointments through the provincial booking system. The government tells me that Ontarians should be aware that these texts are financial in nature and that the government will never ask for any sort of financial transaction. So any sort of financial message you're getting after booking a COVID test or shot is fraudulent. The government telling me it takes these allegations seriously, but that it has found no connection between the booking tool and the text at this time. So government not outright saying that this is any sort of data breach, but certainly
I don't have any proof that it's my fault.
This coming up on City News 680, reporting live, Richard Southern, City News.
Thanks, Richard. City News time, 4:34. Kyle Rittenhouse is a free man, the 18-year-old who shot and killed 2 men and wounded a 3rd in Kenosha, Wisconsin last year, has been found not guilty.
The first mistake was he left one standing.
City's Phil Martino joins us live with more on today's verdict. Phil. Caitlin, the jury deliberated for close to 3.5 days and then a verdict. Kyle Rittenhouse choked up and then fell to the floor as it was read out. He was acquitted on all counts today after claiming he acted in self-defense when he fatally shot 2 protesters during public unrest following the police shooting of a black man in Kenosha, Wisconsin last year. His attorney, Mark Richards, says his client has a huge sense of relief for what the jury did to him today. He wishes none of this would have ever happened. Now, the district attorney's office in Kenosha is asking the public to react peacefully without violence. President Biden says he stands by.
Did you hear that? The presumption is us niggers are going to be violent.
City News.
It's the news some parents have been waiting for. Health Canada has approved Pfizer's COVID-19 vaccine for kids 5 to 11. City's Alex Bloomfield joins us with more details on today's announcement. It's a slightly different formula.
Oh, you can't see the damn clock. My bad, I didn't realize it was
but Health Canada says its efficacy is over 90% comparable to older age groups.
The department has determined that the benefits of the vaccine outweigh the potential risks in this younger age group.
No serious adverse events, including myocarditis, have been connected to the vaccine in clinical trials or in early rollout in the U.S. Health Canada's authorization is for a 3-week interval, but Canada's vaccine advisory panel, NACI, is recommending 8 weeks.
This is a fucking newspaper. It is still a newspaper.
Emerging evidence from adult immunization, which suggests longer intervals result in a stronger, longer-lasting immune response and may lower the risk of myocarditis and pericarditis.
Bitch, you're still on about how somebody asked you if you work for a country and you think it's about you and not what you said.
Will be in the province's hands by late next week.
I forgot what this one says because it's so short.
The government has officially dropped COVID-19 testing requirements for double-dose Canadians who take short trips outside the country. Here's Cormac McSweeney.
If you're fully vaccinated, a Canadian citizen or permanent resident, and your trip is less than 72 hours, Health Minister Jean-Yves Duclos says as of November 30th, it will be easier to travel outside our country.
Will no longer be required to complete a molecular COVID-19 test before re-entering Canada. This change will apply to trips both by land and by
another
air.
fucking bank I don't deal with.
Over 3 days, a test is still needed. The federal government also reducing the number of exemptions they're giving for unvaccinated people entering Canada, including for professional and amateur athletes. The government says it's actively looking at changing measures for Americans coming into our country, but no decision yet. Business and tourism groups call the changes a good first step, but they want to see all testing drop for all fully vaccinated travelers. Cormac McSweeney, Parliament Hill.
And we're getting reaction to this news from travelers at Pearson.
Proof of the vaccine is useless because the vaccine don't stop you from having the virus. It prevents you from going to the hospital and dying. If we're trying to stop the virus from spreading, you need to do testing and ignore the vaccine status because it's irrelevant.
Facing a rather expensive round of PCR
Did I yell all that clear enough?
A grin and bear it outlook when it comes to COVID tests.
Okay, well, I got sickle cell, so you explain that, stupid. You want to have this argument? Come say it to me in my face. You have a problem.
At least understands it.
If you're vaccinated, ideally you shouldn't be taking a test. You should be allowed to enter without a test. But the thing is, even if you are vaccinated, end up getting contracting COVID.
But those most opposed to any PCR testing at the airport are those who have to pay through the swab's nose to get it. Like the woman I met making a sudden trip for a family emergency in Australia. She had to pay for the first PCR test she could find.
I paid $480
Are you fucking retarded? Why are you going to Australia from there?
City News.
City News Time, 4:38.
How many problems that is right now to go from Canada to Australia? That's a huge hassle. I'm going to burn
Have we
this.
seen a case count this high? Ontario reporting 793 new confirmed cases of COVID-19
Wait for your answers, though. But how do I have sickle cell? What am I then? What's the book say? What's the law say? Not only am I black, I'm considered Aryan and a property owner. I cannot be enslaved, even under the oldest laws in the U.S. Black Dutch cannot be enslaved. Do you understand who you're talking to?
People are in the hospital with COVID-19. 205 of those not fully vaccinated or have an unknown vaccination
Put a K
status.
here,
While
mouthpiece.
128 people are in the ICU with COVID-19. 116 of those not fully vaxxed or have an unknown vaccination status. And as of right now, just under 90% of all eligible people aged 12 and up have received at least one dose of a COVID-19 vaccine. Momin Qureshi, City News.
So we are now 24% above, 24 points of percentiles, whatever, above your herd immunity number. When are you going to stop?
But you can feel comfortable.
It's really fundamental to both parties signing that NAPI.
I speak French. I have a Dutch last name. I have sickle cell. I'm First Nations. I got a treaty. I don't know if this matters. I got a treaty with the U.S. government. Okay, how does that play into it? So even though they didn't honor the 40 acres and a mule thing that exists, so why aren't you answering, bro? You idiots come out of the woodwork all the time. Oh, you should join us, KKK, blah, 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 Aryan Brotherhood, this and that. What do I say to you? You're fucking stupid and I'll kill you if you come near me talking like that. You got nothing to say. You're the worst fucking doxers in the world. You don't even fucking do like one click-through worth of fucking background checking when you do this shit. This pallor is a complete lack of pigment. Complete lack.
What I mean is the Canadians will demand a reaction, an equal reaction, and that could be consequences to the U.S., consequences to the jobs. Think about what's required in a battery. It's critical minerals, and we make those. We mine those here in Northern Ontario. We are one of the #1 suppliers of a Class 1 nickel. It's required in batteries. That comes from Sudbury, Ontario. Cobalt, in the aptly named town of Cobalt, about an hour north of where I'm sitting right now, has the only permitted smelter in North America for that product. There's graphite in Hearst. There's lithium in north of Red Lake. This is our turf. These are important, critical minerals for the battery sector. So that's why
you think we're going to be important in this shit?
Into a very serious
you don't listen. None of you listen.
Why we met my ministry.
All the crooked politicians in your pocket. Oh, we need to switch to electric so you can buy stuff from Germany and China and South Korea. And we don't need none of it.
Speaker Nancy Pelosi, writing to Chuck Schumer, Senator Schumer. But we also send another series of letters to people like Senator Joe Manchin, Democrat, who is not in favor of this. And this may come down to a crucial one vote.
In the Senate, you're saying?
In the Senate, yes.
Right, because as we've seen, Biden's $1.9 trillion
this is different from the other one.
For infrastructure is.
I got a gold watch, a blue hoodie, baggy jeans, a pair of Dickies, and an orange jumpsuit.
Could be a swing vote or Kristen.
Look, I got the City of Toronto jacket on. How am I not? Answer me, you fucking pussy.
When you talk about our resources, which ostensibly give us a competitive advantage. The Prime Minister was even trying to prove that or point that out in his talks with Biden. I mean, where else would we sell them?
I'm gonna drop my weed, buddy. Don't say those funny things.
They're desperate for their own production to get our minerals, and how could we then play hardball with them over access to these minerals?
Well, you can't make batteries for electric vehicles without Class 1 nickel. We're one of the largest suppliers.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Yes, you can, you fucking liar.
Nickel is so vast. We are not mining enough in the world right now to satisfy the demand for the electric vehicles. We are looking at new nickel mines as an example, right in Northern Ontario, just in Timmins, Ontario is a great example. The Ring of Fire, there's more nickel there. We've always talked about the chromite in the Ring of Fire. There's more nickel there. Some would say that would rival Sudbury. That's why in the recent fall economic statement, we put so much attention.
They neglect this because the Ring of Fire is known for diamonds.
That we are in a perfect position in Ontario right now. We have key access to those minerals and the resources. And we have state-of-the-art research, development, skilled workers.
I'm gonna fucking.
We're not only the #2 auto manufacturing site in North America, just behind Michigan. We're also the #2 tech cluster in all of North America, just behind Silicon Valley. We have all of what it takes to make these products here in the province of Ontario. And so we're going to leverage everything that we can to make sure that we land battery facilities here in Ontario.
Hey, you know what you're going to need? Is 10 pounds of lead I have in my fucking house.
Driving prosperity program that we launched this week.
Well, I hope you're right about that. I mean, we hate to see the disruption because for political reasons, Biden's trying to, satisfy certain constituencies, union labor in states and certainly in blue states. That's where the rubber's going to meet the road. The Ring of Fire, by the way, is years away from being developed. Can you foresee that we can still have a competitive advantage outside of the Ring of Fire?
Why is it upside down?
Oh, absolutely. Again, the 4 communities that I mentioned with the critical minerals that we have, when you add the new finds that are just Crawford find outside of Timmins, this is a spectacular opportunity. We really have the mandate here and a commitment from Premier Ford. We will be building the auto industry of the future. We already have $6 billion committed by the big 3 4 billion of it was for electric vehicles. We saw General Motors just last Wednesday open their new pickup truck plant in Oshawa. So we had 6 billion in commitments. It's well underway. The production of these facilities.
The Canadian Forces, one of their standard vehicles is what they call the Milverado. It's a GMC pickup that's modified.
We're investing in the auto workers, equipping them with the right skills. We have a skills development fund to assist that. We are really firing on all cylinders right now.
Well, I hope, that we can continue to be this confident. Some people
we have 100% on all cells, is what you should have said.
Because he was non-committal with Justin Trudeau just yesterday in Washington when they had their tete-a-tete. Mr. Fideli,
you see how close we come?
Word that we're really still
we're firing on all cylinders. Do you know what that refers to?
Battery technology. Nick Fideli is the Minister
I'm so sorry that everything I bring is disappointing.
To us from North Bay this afternoon. Thanks so much for your time. Stay well. Have a great weekend.
You see how close we came? This guy's almost spot on. We're firing on all cylinders. Shut up, it's electric.
He is a proprietor of rentahitman.com. Believe it or not.
Well, you don't really buy a hitman, you rent it.
And we're facing serious consequences. We'll share that story in just a moment. 14 before the top of the hour. First to the roads and a check of chopper traffic. Ari Rabinovich.
On the westbound 403 before Highway 6 North, reports of a crash partially blocking the right lane and a delay from the Guelph line. The rest of the highway is actually trouble-free right now. An earlier problem we had on the East 401 Express.
A player. Siak imagines 4 points against the Jazz. OG Anunoby.
71,84 points derrière deux coupes ont réalisé leur meilleur programme.
Yes, we only get 2 French stations. They're both owned by the CBC and they simulcast, so there's really only one.
Les matchs de Coupe Davis programmés du 25 au 30 novembre.
This is why when you speak to me in French, I answer back in English, swearing.
C'est ce qui est annoncé cet après-midi la Fédération internationale de tennis en raison du confinement décrété par les autorités autrichiennes face à la résurgence de la COVID-19. Les préparatifs, soi-disant pour l'organisation des matchs, vont se poursuivre conformément à toutes les directives gouvernementales en Autriche. L'Autriche donc qui a annoncé aujourd'hui officiellement un confinement de l'ensemble de sa population à partir de lundi prochain, quelques jours après avoir pris une mesure similaire pour les personnes non vaccinés, devenant ainsi le premier pays de l'Union européenne à prendre une telle mesure en raison de l'augmentation des cas de COVID-19. Je précise qu'en plus de Innsbruck en Autriche, Turin en Italie et Madrid, évidemment en Espagne, vont présenter des matchs de la Coupe Davis et le Canada va jouer ces rencontres à Madrid.
Merci beaucoup, Ramine. À plus tard. En chanson, on poursuit avec Gabriela. Voici On cherche encore.
So everything apparently sucks. The coverage of everything. So we're firing on all cylinders. Our electric cars are. If your electric car is firing on all cylinders, it must be a hybrid, and your battery's dead. It's very upsetting. This is very upsetting. We came this close, and at the very last second, he ruined it for me. He ruined it for me. All right, so somehow there's 12 pages going back 22 fucking years on my credit report. I'm pretty sure that's illegal. Look at my fucking credit reports. I'm not black. What the fuck? Whatever I am, it ain't white, because that you couldn't look. You look at my files and everything it says. There's no way this is a white guy. It can't be. That can't be his real picture. What's wrong with him? Oh, well, half his medical information's missing for some reason. Page is ripped out, so we don't fucking know. I'm going to see, the first one was supposed to comment. I'm never going to get on the phone to the city. I'm trying to report all this stupid shit that happens around here so it doesn't turn into bigger problems. So this coyote that appears to be mixed with a dog and appears to be very well fed decides to run up into the fucking housing complex. And I ran up in front of him, blocking the path, going, ah, ah, ah. And he just looked at me like, I'm stupid. What's wrong with you, bro? I'll bite your ass. So that's part of that and the facial features. I don't know how to describe it. It didn't appear to be a wild, purebred coyote. It looked like some sort of. I'm thinking Akita. I might have the wrong name of breed, but I'm pretty sure it's called Akita. The one I'm picturing in my head. The face was when it looked me dead in the face. It was shaped different than what I was expecting to see, and it didn't bag up on me. until I looked to the right because I got distracted. And when I looked left, he was gone. He fucking bolted. And yeah, I'm all about leaving the animals alone. But guess what? These animals are coming up in the housing complexes to get the cats, rats, garbage, anything. So all you people throwing your food on the ground, pissing me the hell off. You're feeding the rats. The rats are carrying parasites and feeding. If there wasn't rats here, one of the possible food sources. And this is the issue. If food is easy and plentiful, the pups all survive to adulthood. And then if for whatever reason food is no longer plentiful, whether they've hunted it out or whatever's going on, they will then resort to doing whatever they have to do to survive. Whereas if there was just not this food laying around everywhere in the first place, either they wouldn't have had as many pups or they wouldn't have survived or whatever the case may be. There'd be less successfully breeding couples. Pairs, breeding pairs. They don't call them couples, they call them pairs. Oh, and here's the other thing. These people that say shit like this, because I'm supposed to get angry and fly off the handle. And, all that shit I said was jokes. The last 5 minutes, my credit, all that shit, those are jokes. It's close enough to true, but it's jokes. So if I had a BB gun, I would have shot that thing because it wasn't scared of nothing. No, I would not physically try to touch it. I did not try to rush the thing. I considered it. My brain was like, don't run across the lawn because the people that live here might get mad at you. And afterwards, I was like, that's the stupidest reasoning in the world. If they see me run across the lawn, they see the coyote too, right? Because the lawn's, 8 feet wide? But the actual reason you shouldn't is because these motherfuckers carry rabies and other things. And being mixed with domestic dogs, things get very complicated. Parvovirus, not the one I have, not the B19, but the parvovirus that most people typically associate with domestic dogs, the one you have to get them a vaccine for, what they found is that some stray dogs, some feral dogs, are surviving parvovirus infection. Right, and these things are living half wild, breeding with coyotes, so they're going to carry all sorts of fucking disease. It's kind of messed up. They could be healthy and strong, even though they're infected with something, but they could infect you or another animal with something horrible.
5 à 11 ans.
Et Myriam, comment cette
vaccination va être offerte dans...
Your services. Give us an update. What's happened?
Okay, so last Friday actually was Wendy's big day in court, and after spending about 500 plus days in custody, she finally got to tell her story in front of the judge. She was ultimately either she pled guilty prior to the beginning of the trial, or she pled guilty at some point. But the end result is she is now looking at up to, I believe it's 108 months in prison in Michigan, which is 9 years.
Well, and this all started because she contacted your website, and because she was
12 times 8 is 96 plus 12.
You had to report it to the authorities, and that's where the undercover people became involved. Tell me what it was that she was actually looking for you to do on your Rent a Hitman website.
Yeah, so
hold on. This is not a real story. This is not news.
2020, she sent an email to a contact email address that I had on the page, and she basically said that she had an issue with.
So you were joking, but she's serious. So she goes to jail and you don't. That's funny.
She was taking advantage of special needs kids. She went into greater detail and said that she didn't really know how to handle it. She wanted to inquire about the cost. She said she wasn't a rich person. And at the end of her email, she
You need Lorenzo Lamas. And Queen Latifah asked the Equalizer.
She responded to her message and asked her, I'm not clear on what it is that you're requesting.
Oh, so you encouraged her some more because Canada doesn't have entrapment laws. So you can get convicted in the U.S. because of what's not illegal in Canada. Watch out for that.
Service request form indicating her name, her real information, address, phone number, and then the true information for her intended target, which turned out to be her ex-husband. She went on to provide photos, the social media accounts, and other information. So at that point, that's when I reached out to the Michigan State Police. And
I'm sure you'd rather hear me reporting a coyote sighting to the city.
They took it very seriously and acted very quickly. And within a short time, they met up with Wendy at a cafe, I believe.
I'm confused here. I'm confused. His website is rentahitman.com, whatever.
And then there was a second meet later.
Either he's committing a crime, or you got to assume the woman was joking. You can't. I don't understand. If someone thought it was serious, there's something wrong with their mental state that you can't convict them. I'm confused.
Sure, because she was very, very serious about going through with it and meeting one of your field operatives. Or
if she fucking tells me that on the corner while I'm trying to fucking smoke a joint and drink my coffee, doesn't mean I'm guilty of fucking possibly considering doing it, eh?
Like, a solution that's right for you.
That might not be the right argument.
Absolutely.
Do you feel good about that, knowing, I mean, Wendy Wine is going to do some hard time, up to 9 years in a Michigan big house, because, and not the one in Ann Arbor.
Hold on.
She wanted her husband killed.
There are black men serving 25-year sentences for cocaine and heroin. She's getting 9 years for trying to kill somebody.
Doing some time in stir, but are there people beyond Wendy
40-year sentences. Right, 40-year sentences.
There have been several cases that have ended in convictions in reference to solicitations made through the website.
So why do you have this site? We missed the important part. Why has this guy got this site? That's too weird.
And a couple of others scattered throughout there, but those are the ones that have garnered some media attention over the years.
So, Bob, are you keeping the site up, or are you thinking of taking it down?
If it's .com, it's registered in the U.S. So if he registered rentahitman.com, he is advertising services, or it's a joke. You can't.
Nearly 150 murders internationally. Am I right?
What?
Yeah, I am keeping it up and running. The website, the service request form is up and running, and I will.
Yeah, that's a web form. You were right, actually.
Those that feel that they want to be placed in contact with the field operator.
Product of USA.
I love it. Out of just sort of a goof, it's turned out to be, well, a pretty serious way of
locking up people that are too stupid to pull off the fucking.
Some kind of a citation. Do the authorities at least give you props for helping them in that regard?
Yeah, there's been some props. Yeah, I haven't received any kind of letters or anything like that, but. You know what? I'm not in it.
Do you know what that means?
In it for that. It's nice that they are recognizing it, seeing it as a functional website and not just a joke. This used to be taken as a joke when I contact a law enforcement agency.
Yeah, because you're setting people up for some weird shit, man.
It's stupid to be true, kind of a thing.
I think what he's doing is called public mischief.
It's gained some traction over the years.
But I'm not sure if that's illegal in the U.S.
Yes, I'm going to keep at it.
Sure. Why stop a good thing?
Tell your friends, don't hire a hitman from the Hire a Hitman website, because that's a setup from the feds. In case you didn't.
Just can't understand that this would not be legit on the face of it. But again, under the nom de plume, Guido Finelli, Bob Innes is the proprietor of rentahitman.com. And he's doing the Lord's work effectively. Bob, always a pleasure. If there are more updates coming, we'll certainly talk on those occasions. Stay well in the meantime.
No, we won't. We will not.
Might even become your favorite month. 1515 now. Tax.
Tous ensemble. En Radio Journal de 17h. On a tous besoin d'écouter pour comprendre.
De comprendre pour mieux vivre.
De vivre tous ensemble. Et c'est ensemble.
These people get 2 minutes of my time and then I'm done. I can't take this new shit anymore. It's all shit covered.
Ici Radio-Canada Télé.
Salut, c'est Nicolas Ouellet. Ce soir, Jean-Philippe Barry-Guerrard.
Okay, so if I had no business cards to people and be like, buy some weed from me.com, and the cops try to arrest me, oh, I'm just joking. But hey, those guys were trying to buy weed. You should arrest them. Like, what's the deal? How the fuck can you even... I don't understand the hypocrisy there.
Vous écoutez ici Radio-Canada Première. Au 860 AM à Toronto. Du cœur aux idées.
I really should report the coyote show. I don't know what use it does. But...
Aujourd'hui au Radio Journal, chaque minute compte en Colombie-Britannique où l'armée s'active à renforcer une digue pour protéger Abbotsford avant le retour.
So if you thought I was paranoid when I kept saying things could get very, very bad up here, listen.
Convaincre les parents
The
last 6 months, BC has been trying to kill BC.
Tâche déterminante au moment où commence la vaccination des enfants de 5 à 11 ans. Et les policiers du Wisconsin craignent des débordements après l'acquittement d'un jeune qui a abattu 2 manifestants antiracistes l'an dernier.
So, City News Radio, whatever, Global News Radio, and the CBC fucking subsidiary all have the exact same top 3 stories.
Inondations dans la région d'Abbotsford, durement frappée par les pluies diluviennes du week-end dernier. L'urgence pour les prochains jours, colmater une digue endommagée. L'objectif, protéger une vaste zone agricole avant le retour de la pluie. Notre journaliste Yannick Dumont-Baron est sur place à Abbotsford, à l'est de Vancouver. Yannick, où en sont les travaux?
48 degrees, you asked for rain, you got the rain, you're not happy.
Information là-dessus dans les prochaines minutes parce que le maire d'Abbotsford doit faire le point. Ce matin, on est allé dans le secteur où ces travaux ont lieu. On a vu des camions, des pelles mécaniques arriver il y a quelques heures environ. Difficile d'en savoir plus parce qu'on ne peut pas s'en approcher. Évidemment, il y a un long travail de consolidation à faire, vous le comprendrez. Le trou dans la digue, il fait 100 mètres de long. C'est une digue qui normalement empêche l'eau d'envahir les champs de sous Musbury, là où il y a beaucoup de fermiers et terres agricoles. Donc, c'est une digue de 3 mètres de haut. Il va falloir boucher ça. Depuis hier soir, la ville a modifié son plan. On a abandonné 2 km et demi. C'est ce premier plan qui a forcé l'évacuation d'une dizaine de résidents. Des gens qui ont passé la nuit à tenter de mettre à l'abri leur matériel, leur bien personnel. Et là, peut-être le maire expliquera justement pourquoi le plan a changé, mais on travaille à l'HPV.
Et Yannick, de son côté, l'armée s'active sur le terrain.
Oui, effectivement, et leur rôle se précise un peu. Il y a des soldats d'Edmonton qui sont déjà là, des Québécois qui sont en route aussi. Je vous propose d'écouter un de ceux qui vient de Valcartier, le capitaine William Pugh.
Ça, c'est une mission qui est assez importante pour nous. Évidemment, on est motivé à aller ailleurs.
I'm not lighting it, I'm just holding it.
Donc, c'est vraiment la grosse différence pour nous présentement avec cette mission-là.
Alors, vous comprendrez, hein, il y a des besoins en appui logistique, en reconnaissance aérienne aussi.
No fucking road, no electricity, no phones.
Une autre mission de l'armée canadienne après des désastres au Canada.
And these people don't own snowmobiles for the most part. I mean, it depends where you are.
L'envoi de la vaccination pour les enfants est donné. Santé Canada a approuvé un vaccin contre la COVID-19.
No. The first COVID-19 vaccine for children.
Jesus Christ.
A closure of Front Street still, Portland to Spadina because of falling glass. From courtside at every game.
I thought it would be on the weather. I was wrong.
Story of Canada's favorite superfan. Watch Superfan, the Nafatia story.
It's the tail end of the traffic report.
Next reported 5:11 with the forecast. Here's Denise Andriacci.
We're sitting near about 4 or 5 degrees across the GTA.
Tell us how the wind and the temperature is making the glass break. I want to hear that.
In areas across our region, but very minor.
We're only tuning in long enough to hear that the top story, BC's frozen or something.
And then some mixed precipitation, rain and snow.
And 5 to 11-year-olds can be vaccinated.
Tonight, we are partly to mostly cloudy.
I'm so disappointed what I'm putting together here.
City News Time, 5:03.
The following breaking news from the Ford government, which is now investigating a possible data breach into the province's vaccine booking system.
Right.
City's Richard Southern joins us live with what we know so far. Richard.
Yeah, we're learning about this exclusively. Could be a really troubling
You
situation.
repeat the same shit as last hour. So angry.
Apparently received spam text messages after booking a vaccine through the provincial portal. These texts ask for financial information. The Ford government issuing City News 680 a statement.
You keep sending people links and emails and telling them to don't ever click on a link in an email, but click on this one because it's us and you can trust us. I can't tell you how many government agencies do that to us.
No connection between the booking tool and the text at this
There
time.
obviously is.
Can't say this is any sort of hack or data breach at this time.
Now these people could send you a text. You register for your vaccine. These people are already texting you. You won't get an Amber Alert. You won't get an emergency tornado alert. You won't get nothing. You'll get none of it. Atomic weapon alert. Nothing. You won't get none of that. But you get this.
And click here to receive this money. So I just trashed it. But here's the thing. It said my full name, including my middle name, and my middle name was in all caps. And the only time I've ever seen that was when it was on my health record.
Now, the government stresses it will never.
That's an interesting little detail. That is a very interesting detail because they're going to copy and paste. That's one step or two. Converting the casing would be probably 2 more steps, I think. 1 or 2 more steps.
City News Time 5:05. Kyle Rittenhouse has been found not guilty. A jury accepting his claim he was acting in self-defense when he shot 3 people last year, killing 2 in Kenosha, Wisconsin. Our Phil Martino joins us live with the details. Phil.
Scott, 3.5 days after it began deliberating in Kenosha, Wisconsin, the jury rendered its verdict. 18-year-old Kyle Rittenhouse has been acquitted on all counts after claiming he acted in self-defense.
I was so scared of the big black guy. They've been doing this to me for 25 years. I'm so big and scared. I weigh 130 pounds sometimes. He's so big and scary, you know, because look at it, because because we don't know what he is, so half-breed, nigger lover, that's what that means. So he's obviously an animal that will go crazy, so we're scared of him. So you understand that, sir, since we are so white, or at the very least, we promote white supremacist values, because most of them are not actually white.
Approving the Pfizer shot for children 5 to 11, city's Alex Bloomfield with more.
So if you wonder why I haven't been making videos lately, I ain't got nothing to work with.
Pfizer's adult shot in 1/3 of the dosage, but Health Canada says its efficacy is over 90%.
19, soit parce qu'ils ont obtenu une exemption médicale.
Tous nos députés vont être là.
Mais soit parce qu'ils ont obtenu une exemption médicale.
Physical menus, because when people go out, they're doing it so they can regain a sense of what used to be.
At least for that time period.
So I won't get too deep into it. If you follow along, the dog tag people, if you pay them extra money, they can put QR codes on there. They have tags that have a little thing like stamped into it or a logo that says COVID-19 checked off or I got my vaccine, whatever. You can get tags like that. Not officially anything, but if you get the QR code on it, okay, and then you got some type of ID, whatever, with you, whatever, then that way you don't have to carry your fucking phone and, oh, here's my QR code. That's actually my phone. I'm not letting you touch my phone because of NFC. That's right. All you have to do is let you into my wallet. No. I'll show you the information or tell it to you. You don't need to grab my wallet and go through it for me because that's what tapping your phone is, NFC.
Now if I react to the cost mine. Just a week ago. Now if I react to the cost mine. Good just a week ago. How the story go? Hands screaming real force in the vocal cords. Common show.
I found a dentist and they did some deep cleaning on my teeth. It took a total of 2.5 hours. And so far I've had 2 fillings, so that's a total of 23. I got 3 more to get filled. That will end up being 26. I got 2 extractions, which magically they don't cover. Apparently my roots they curve backwards instead of up. The tooth is gonna have to come out like this or some shit. It's not gonna happen.
Whatever I want, whatever I do, whatever I say.
T.O. Talent!
Whatever I spend, whatever I see. The sound of the club, the kiss on your lips, it should be mine. The people you meet, the people you trust, the people you find. That's the difference, baby, between you and me. That's the difference, baby, between you and me. Sky high in better times, when love was hard to find. Sky high in better times, with my mind Valentine. Sky high in harder times, when love, my friend, was mine. Sky high in harder times, with my mind Valentine.
Yeah, it's your boy, Matisse the Kid. I got Hypnotic with me on this one. You holler at him, man.
Somewhere's all day up in here. Revolutionaries. Yo, we being targeted. Word up, man. We being hunted. All black men beware, but we will not be the prey. It's a war out here, man. You gotta be smart when you dealing with these motherfuckers. Gather fires and get ready. Bulletproof, window glass don't shatter. They're wildin' out like black lives don't matter. The other day be, yo, the beast try to play me. It's war zone. In the hood, they brought the Navy. Unrest, protest, stay 7. Cause they killed a strong black man like James Evans. Daytime.
My grandmother always said, don't give them an excuse. She knew how the cops were. She told me, don't give them an excuse. I don't. My brother's mother is a black Toronto police officer. We don't get no slack. We don't get no special treatment. No, I don't think that's the source of the harassment I get, but we don't get no special treatment from it either.
I'm trying to keep the shit peaceful.
Oh, I lie. From the general police constabulary, I don't think that's where it comes from. And when it comes to Mark Saunders and a whole bunch of weird things, how he keeps popping up around me and shit, yeah, I think that's exactly what it's about. But
I'm out looting with the people, police shooting, tear gas, rubber bullets, the end of the world, ain't no other way to put it. Pearl Harbor, looking like Okinawa, even through the thick of it all, we smoking sour. Repeat felons, got us in the street yelling, fuck that, I have a dream speech, they selling, they telling lies. World news won't blitzer, don't be a sheep and let the wolf get you. Yo, we strike back, take one of mine, take one of yours, yo, we strike back. Take one of mine, take one of yours, we strike back. Take one of mine, take one of yours, yo, we strike back. Strike back, strike back, strike back. I trust none, just got a new bully, ain't scared to bust off. I do it accordingly, disorderly, accustomed to outrage city life like Ukraine. Cops shoot my youth like Saddam Hussein, they shifty. We shut them down, kick them like Luke Kane. Dare them to buck back, what, my crew bangs is no game. Beast waiting to take a light, burglars to these murderers, beat the viper when I strike. Blam, blam on the bama, open like I open them like with the hammer. They crooked mean it seems, I ain't got no time. Hit them up, Officer O'Connor, I'm a bomber. Lit them up, dig, pigs feel the karma. No drama, I've been a terror to this darkness. But
do a good job in disregarding some of this chatter around the
Yeah, John, you raised, the most interesting part of this. And again, it just shows what turmoil the United States is in right now. I think they
podcast this, but I'm not sure.
There was a lot of immediate reporting at the time of the so-called protests. And, you were seeing in the background that buildings were burning and a lot of trouble was going on. Yet they were saying that it was a peaceful protest. And,
how come the fire department takes so long to show up in our neighborhoods?
There's a lot of evidence to suggest that there was a bit of chaos. And the overall property damage that I understand that's truly been reported on was about $50 million. And so the narrative that came out in the general mainstream media was that
you could average every commercial property going to be $1 million. And what city is this that this happened in? You might value every house at $1 million too. So that's
when in fact he had connections to the area and he had been there the night before. And some of this had come out in the evidence because he testified and that evidence came through and the evidence to the contrary did not. And it was pretty clear. I think Rittenhouse's evidence had significant support once that third victim, I'm just going to call him a victim because it's easier for me that way, testified and confirmed the very fact that, he had approached Rittenhouse.
Oh, because he was found not guilty. He was hedging what he said. I get it.
But there was a lot of reporting that was going on through
He's the victim of a shooting, is he not?
And other stations, CNN in particular as well, that in fact that he had been driven there for specific purpose. And you were given the idea that he was maybe an active shooter. And of course, that was the theory of the prosecution. A lot of that was not borne out in the trial. That didn't surface. And so the jury got a fairly
we know that because of the outcome. Can you fill us in on the details?
And what the circumstances were to Mr. Rittenhouse and his state of mind was at the time when it happened. But, you raise a really good point. There's so many narratives at play that it was very hard for a person outside to really understand what the real narrative was.
Well, you even had the president of the United States who had preemptively called this guy a white supremacist during his campaign in 2020. He's lending credence to that idea without the benefit of the doubt or, due process and all the rest of that. I mean, how dangerous is that? And does that leave Joe Biden, when he's out of office, open to a libel suit?
Well, when he was running for election, he's probably protected by a number of statements. But, it is a libelous statement, and there was zero evidence that he was connected in any way, shape, or form to a white supremacist group.
Are you arguing that side of it? You don't like Biden. You didn't like Trump, now you don't like Biden. What the fucking hell is going on here?
That, he had been there putting out fires and erasing, painting over graffiti prior to the night in question. And so that evidence wasn't borne out. But it's
painting over graffiti,
which is so explosive in the United States, where we have so much of a divide, it worries me. Because
put out the fire, the community will take care of the graffiti, stupid. You're not needed. You're not needed. You're trying to make yourself feel important.
This terrible divide.
You didn't kiss my ass, so I'm going to throw a hissy fit like Officer K. Blake.
And we know that there's systemic racism and all sorts of bad things happening. But around that is so much misinformation that you just froth the underlying problems. And, both...
The sun went down 27 minutes ago. I can't tell you how fucking ridiculous it is.
Both fed into this. It is very unfortunate.
Again, with Joe Neuberger, with Neuberger and Partners Criminal Lawyers and Global News Radio's legal expert, the idea that this was part of these competing narratives, that the people who were killed had sort of checkered backgrounds.
He's the legal counsel for the station.
One guy just
he's defended them against
as well as
racial discrimination allegations.
Who had quite an extensive rap sheet. The other guy, domestic abuse and so on. And then Kyle Rittenhouse, that any kind of tenuous link he may have had or sympathies with white nationalists, and these were the competing narratives.
Nationalists, you call them nationalists now, not supremacists, which is
really about
a bunk theory. Oh, they're nationalists. They're a nation. No, they're not.
Being accosted by these individuals did not go seeking the trouble, but it came upon him. It really comes down to that finite timeline, doesn't it?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It was what was his state of mind, and what were
it comes down to you need 12 to win, and he only needs 1.
Support what he believed was life-threatening behavior, and it was borne out in the evidence. It was borne out that he was threatened, that if he was to be caught by Rosenbaum, he'd kill him, that the other person had actually attacked him. They were all pursuing him. The third individual actually pulled a weapon on him and pointed it at him, and at that time...
What was the weapon?
So all that
he didn't say firearm, he said weapon. What was the weapon?
We can all argue as to whether any 17-year-old...
I've been accused half a dozen times of being 3 blocks away and pulling out a knife and pointing it, and it's magically going to shoot 3 blocks away and stab you somehow in the air. I don't understand. It gets thrown out every time.
Open and concealed, at any moment somebody could be killed. That was the explosive nature. Terrible.
Oh, so you don't like Biden, you don't like firearms.
The other thing is
because the Canadian courts are attempting to rule on whether First Nations have to have firearms licenses. Well, we never had to have them before because we're national armies.
Who say, are trying to be objective in this case, that they went overboard, and even in some of their submissions, like one of the prosecutors was saying, hey, Kyle Rittenhouse, everybody takes a beating every now and then. You could have taken a beating instead of actually firing off your weapon, as you allege, in self-defense. I mean, that kind of stuff.
See how they're arguing his point of view.
What did you make of that?
Yeah, see, they're doing this to go over the top because they can't do the opposite. So they're going over the top with it. So everybody goes, what the fuck?
I absolutely agree with that. And that's why we have, a much more measured system in Canada. But when you add into the mix, there was that video surfacing of the
everything's in halves,
Rosenbaum and the way he was acting.
Lovers, right?
And given the environment,
there's so many hyphens in my fucking epithet.
Possessing and can have concealed weapons, a beating can be a death. Yeah, that's not something you can nicely measure.
No, when the police beat people, it was reasonable force.
To kill you or hitting you.
They know that they're causing tissue necrosis to me.
So sorry I said that, but
that's
I'll
murder.
Just take it and it's okay. You can't measure that out in some minute legal way at the time that it's unfolding. It's just we're human beings. That's just not the way it works. And I thought that was.
But he didn't treat them like human beings.
Along with a few other.
I want to know where he shot them and so forth.
That's just unrealistic. And it goes to, frankly, what was going on in Kenosha at that time, they were not equipped to handle the mayhem that was going on. There was not enough sufficient police or security there to assist.
The other thing is the judge reserved.
Why were you there?
It anyway. Could have called a.
See, that's part of the reason I write this shit all over my fucking stuff here, so people know I'm not gonna back down from what I'm saying. Or I might walk away, but you won't like the next person that comes back and says, "Hey, you didn't like the U.S. Army? Well, we got some talking to do. You're not gonna like
for appeal if there were any kind of convictions."
Yeah, again, this is a really interesting
probably
point.
the most accusations of violence against other
nations. The judge still has some jurisdiction to determine the fate of the case. We don't
now, for your own nations, that domestically, that would be probably the USSR or China, probably.
Brought by the defense. And
possibly North Korea.
That the judge was definitely concerned about a number of things that were going on during the course of the trial.
You're going to make me search Kyle Rittenhouse on fucking Google.
Conviction, I wouldn't be so shocked if the judge stepped into it and did something. But there certainly would have been grounds for appeal in this case on a conviction, because the objective evidence that was available was that he acted in self-defense, and the prosecution didn't disprove that.
That's what did they call it? Is that affirmative? That's something he has to prove.
And somebody pulled a handgun at him, and only when that handgun was pulled at him did Rittenhouse shoot back, which supported his
okay, but do they have a stand your ground law?
And, when you look at other
there was a handgun.
Evidence, again, the stuff that was in the media, I mean, you could see the mayhem that was going on.
Because I would love to argue back and forth about, he had a stick and a rock.
And yet the verdict is not being readily accepted by many, including some of the families of the deceased, who believe that
only some of them. Only some of the family of the deceased is upset.
Quietly, as a matter of fact, I'm sure it'll be stoked up tonight. They're planning for perhaps some mayhem in Kenosha.
My grandmother always said, "Don't give them an excuse."
He would like to see that nobody takes matters into their own hands, but he's equally. What did he say?
Take your own safety into your own hands.
I think by the outcome, something.
Step back 2 steps from problems. Just trust me on that.
Caught my attention.
Look behind you. Make sure you don't step back.
If there's any other development, we'll follow up. But right now, Kyle Rittenhouse found not guilty on all 5 counts, and he's a free man. Joe Neuberger with Neuberger and Partners Criminal Lawyers, Global News legal expert and analyst, host of the podcast Not on Record. Always a great day for
an advertiser on the station and their legal advisor, whatever they just call them.
Take care, John.
I thank you. All right, we'll come back. Before we get into our panel, any feedback on this ruling? I mean, if you follow the case at all, to my mind, it was really the Kenosha police or the governor who facilitated the situation. They really allowed for this thing to get out of control. For whatever reason, they really underestimated where it could lead, and we saw where it led to 2 people being dead. However you might feel about that, they should never.
That's another thing. What about
feel like he needed to be there?
How do I put this? The authorities' responsibility to the public to maintain safety.
Wrong? Do you believe on the weight of the evidence, as Joe just explained? 870-6400 will take a flurry of fast calls before our panel. Out of town, 888-225-TALK gets you on the Oakland Show. 23 past right now to the roads and a check of chopper traffic. Ari Rabinovich.
On the West 401 at Highway 20.
What do you say? 888-22 whatever 5. So talk would be 8255. You can't do that on your cell phone, can you? Fuck you up, eh? Try that on a BlackBerry. It's QWER. No, it's not. So that word armée, so army, A-R-M-Y, in English comes from armée in French, which has X. Anyway, which means literally the armed. So the army or the arm, when they say army, like it's, I don't know how to, it's if you grow up speaking French, it's different than if you learn it in high school or later. It's different because you're thinking in English, translating to French. This is how I say this in French, and then you say it. I'm thinking in French, and I have very poor sentence structuring ability in English. And the other one, matériel. So in French, that just means material, but so the loan word in English of materiel, M-A-T-E-R-I-E-L, it refers to basically military supplies. You can look that up. Material, but spelled with an E instead of a at the end. Yeah. In French, it just means material. Armée just means the armed. It's but these words have been used for so long, we know what is meant by that word. We know the concept meant by that word. Like, I don't pick this up and look at it and say, that's a book. How do I say book in French? Ça c'est un livre. Ah, ça c'est mon livre. La livre, le livre, un de, plutôt de livre. Let's finish the joint. Shit! I timed it wrong. I try to keep it, so I guess you guys could watch it whatever pace you want. Why is SoundCloud open? Because this is not what I want, because you're going to update and fill up my phone with weird shit. Damn it. I wanted... So we got to look up what I wanted to find out the detail of the weapon. Okay, where did he fucking shoot these people? If it's self-defense, then the record should show what action he took, what the result was. There was an allegation, right? They didn't disprove that he shot them. They disproved that he committed a crime. Okay, fine. Ostensibly, what am I typing here? Siri, Alexa, Google. Who the fuck is Kyle Rittenhouse? That's his name, right? Did I get it right? No, I have not been keeping up on this story. Have not. Ah, fuck. All I'm going to find is the fucking verdict. I just want to know. Did he shoot a guy 15 times in the head? Or did he hit the guy in the leg sort of sideways and he bled out? What? I just want to know. And just because you take a headshot don't necessarily mean you're aiming to murder just for that sake. In these areas where you aim for to incapacitate a threat, you know, the gun's here, but it's up here that's making it work. It's here that you're most likely to hit. But if they move, that's why you aim for here. It's because if they move, you're still most likely to hit them somewhere. So yeah, in self-defense, you may well be trained to take that whatever first shot can knock them down. And that would usually be a fatal shot. In self-defense, for professionals in the arms profession, that's a real term, depending on what they're trained for, if they're civilian law enforcement officers, then the hope would be that since they're dealing typically with civilians, people, and I don't know how to put this, even somebody you think and allege is committing a crime right in front of you doesn't necessarily mean they're a career criminal, been doing these things their whole lives, that they're out to attack the public. And they may well have a mental health. If you hit somebody in the back of the head, you bump into their car and they get a fucking weird head injury, they could start acting fucking strange. Killing the person is not necessarily the solution. Oh, a 25-cent solution. Right, okay, but it's not always the answer. But if it's somebody that's if it's an armored guard or a soldier, I'm forgetting which word to use, a member of the armed forces, veteran, whatever, they get trained differently too. So but again, they might be trained to injure someone rather than kill them, because in combat that may well be a more effective fucking strategy. I'm talking theorizing the art of war here. I tried to start listening to that, but they started talking about heaven and earth and all this weird. So somehow so on CRI several years ago, I would tune in with a Sunday morning here, and they would be playing an audio, they would be broadcasting somebody reading audiobook. It was an audio radio book. It was a radio book. That's what it was. It was a radio book. Of the art of war, and I guess the middle parts and end part were very nice. I found them useful, but they haven't rebroadcasted since, and I haven't found it online. I got a long list of shit I've been meaning to do. Like 400 freaking manhole covers I gotta clear, and then I gotta download the art of war, and I gotta find it first. I gotta find the MP3s that they used to play on the radio here from the report, the Royal Report on the affairs about on Aboriginal persons.
Hey, good afternoon. Great Day Back Radio.
Thank you, Al.
Angry callers, Bob. John.
I got to
It's
file
John
this.
Oakley,
First of all,
I
I do
believe.
think that they got it right.
If
But
you're
as far
looking
as
for the
those situations
podcast.
concerned, I sound heartless, but I got to file this all under play stupid games, win stupid prize. I mean, he went there with a loaded firearm and ended up getting himself on trial, which I'm sure cost him money and his reputation, and he's, has all kinds of other social issues.
Yeah, as much as you
And
could say
people are
pro-guns,
dead
people
because
should
they
be
attacked the
armed
guy
to defend
with a loaded
themselves.
firearm.
You also have to remember you're stepping it up a level. Things could go crazy. You took it from somebody killing you to now you're on trial, but you're still gonna have crazy shit happen.
Who wants to weigh in and stoke the fires? As if that country is
There's an echo. It's not his radio.
Any excuse.
It is not his radio. It is from the transmitter. You hear it?
Yeah, well, they've lost their minds. Really, this is a country that's undergoing something here with paroxysms of, it's a real existential problem, I think, in the US of A. The whole racial component, this is where, it looks to me like that's being the predominant narrative being presented by some people on the left, which is really unfortunate because race, to my mind, had nothing to do with it, and there's no evidence of that. All right,
To
I'll
your
let
mind.
you go on that note because I'm backed up against the
No.
clock.
How do you have an opinion on it?
Right.
Did you
There are
witness
a lot
it?
of other things I wanted to address as
What
well,
formed
and,
your
some of that
opinion?
has to do
I'm
with
not
Joe
negating
Biden
your
and his
opinion. I'm asking you to question
protectionist
yourself.
policies. We heard from
What
Victor
was your
Ellie
source
last
for your
hour
opinion?
about how that may be a concern, but we might still have a, dare I say,
I haven't
trump
checked the
card to
audio in a
play.
long time to know if
And
you
the
can
poll
even hear me
numbers
when that's
on
on.
vaccines for kids and vaccine passports. That's also rather instructive. So we'll get to all of those with our panelists this afternoon, John Capobianco and Mitzi Hunter here on the Uncle Show. Global News Radio, 640 Toronto.
Insightful, engaging, intelligent. Global News Radio,
CNBC?
640 Toronto.
It's only 2:30 on BC.
Are you thinking of selling, but you've got concerns because your home needs renovations or is tenanted? Well, worry no more. Aldo wanted to sell his investment property of over 30 years.
I'm a
He trusted
different
my
party
friends
to
at
that
Frank
same
Leon
issue.
Associates, the #1 RE/MAX.
And the collectors to the 427 ring.
Je veux dire, de plus en plus, alors qu'il faisait nuit, alors que les requins étaient là, et tout à coup, ils se sont mis à tondre avant que le jour se lève, je dirais 1 heure avant que le jour se lève, vers 5 heures du matin, quoi, ou 4h30. Et là, ça a été le feu d'artifice absolu, des mérous qui bondissaient dans tous les sens, des requins qui étaient là un peu au milieu, mais qui finalement n'étaient pas si efficaces. Et c'est là toute leur stratégie, c'est que finalement c'est la pleine lune, ok, mais et effectivement une pleine lune à minuit, ça éclaire énormément la mer.
Oh shit, that's happening too, by the way.
Une nuit de
Full moon.
à minuit, on voit très bien souvent, on n'a pas besoin de lumière. Mais par contre, à 4 heures du matin ou à 5 heures du matin et nuit de pleine lune, ben, la lune est presque posée sur l'horizon.
Using on watches or watch accessories, the biggest problem I have wearing my watch on the left hand, the crown is on the right side, meaning.
Donc finalement, on se retrouve avec une nuit bien noire. Ce qui est plus pratique pour.
It impacts if the band is in size perfectly, which I'm known for wearing them on size too big.
Avec furie toute la nuit, donc quand tu arrives 5 heures du matin, ils sont épuisés, ces requins aussi. Donc ils n'ont plus la même énergie. Et en même temps, c'est le bon moment parce que le courant de la passe est sortant, c'est-à-dire qu'il va envoyer les œufs à l'extérieur, dans l'océan, à l'abri de tous les prédateurs du récif, pour qu'ils se développent en sécurité. Et voilà ce qu'était la stratégie à laquelle on aurait pu penser dès la première année si on avait été un peu plus malin. C'est ce qu'on a testé seulement la 4e année, et là ça a marché. Et c'est cette 4e année que j'ai fait cette fameuse photo. Et d'ailleurs, on y est retourné une 5e année, parce que voilà, c'est tellement passionnant cet endroit-là. Et avec aussi peut-être l'idée de se dire, est-ce qu'on a juste eu un coup de chance, ou est-ce que vraiment on a compris le mécanisme déclencheur? Et la 5e année, on y est allé, et de nouveau, on a réussi notre coup, ce qui nous a confirmé sur le fait qu'on avait compris comment ça marche, quoi. Il y a des signes à attendre, des façons dont se comportent les femelles la veille, et puis après il faut y aller effectivement avant que les ours se lèvent. Voilà. Et puis donc après mais c'est beau, entre le moment où elle
The right winter tires matters. Conquer the cold with a new set of Bridgestone Blizzak tires. Blizzak tires are designed with
Day after claiming he acted in self-defense when he fatally shot 2 protesters during the public unrest following the police shooting of a black man in
player is
Kenosha,
so
Wisconsin
dusty.
last year.
I looked at my other hand. You ever do that? Oh, that's filthy.
He has a huge sense of relief for what the jury did to him today, and he wishes none of this would have ever happened.
Is that his words?
He has to get on with his life the best he can. I think eventually some anonymity will come back to it.
If you really in your heart, your black heart, not evil.
U.S. President Joe Biden says he stands by what the jury has concluded.
Want to see this guy feel justice? Don't do anything to him. Let him feel what it's like to walk around the rest of his life. People go, oh, you're a killer, you're a murderer. But don't do nothing to him. Let other people say it to him.
Went from his home in Illinois to Kenosha with a
There's one advantage of looking like this.
After businesses in the city were ransacked and burned over the shooting of a black man by a white police officer. Phil Martino, City News.
Right, there was a shooting before the shooting, by the way.
Canadians who are fully vaccinated and taking short trips out of the country. City's Parliament Hill reporter Cormac McSweeney explains.
The new rules kick in November 30th and should make it a lot easier to jump to the States for concerts or shopping. If you're on a trip abroad that's less than 72 hours and you're double dosed, then you won't have to show a negative COVID test to re-enter Canada. This is only for Canadian citizens, permanent residents, and Indigenous people with status cards. If the trip is longer than 72 hours or you're not Canadian, you still need a test. Public Safety Minister Marco Mendicino warns people not to fudge the facts at the border.
Is a serious offense and may result in severe penalties or even criminal charges.
The government is still considering more testing phase-outs, potentially for Americans, but no decisions yet. The Fed's also further limiting the number of unvaccinated people who can get exemptions to enter Canada. Cormac McSweeney, Parliament Hill.
City News Time, 5:37. Travelers reacting to the news at Pearson. City's Mark Douglas joins us from the airport with
National Women's Day in March, in early March. I mean, and they do get their due, and it's recognized more broadly than this is. Isn't it sexist to say, hey, let's not really make a fuss about it because International Men's Day every day is, I mean, that's almost being somewhat condescending, isn't it?
Well, it's just since October 18th.
I'm an individual human. I'm not plural, so I'm going to sidestep the whole gender thing. I'm not a plural.
We have a lot of making up to do there, John, for
Friday's
for
my
women
day.
Across society. So that's why we need that day and month to remind people of the gains that we still need to make.
I see. But when it comes to men, meh. John Capobianco, really, I don't know. Mitzi may be telegraphing the wrong message here. I mean, look, the fact of the matter is they're not seen in the same light just because, as I pointed out, nobody's really known about this or made a fuss about it. It just made my radar because I tend to look at things upon designated dates, and hey, it's International Men's Day. I'll leave it. But
I must say though, John, I got to tell you, as long as I've lived, I've never heard of International Men's Day. You're the first person that has actually told me, or at least explained to me, that there actually is an International Men's Day. So that says a lot in and of itself.
It does. It speaks volumes of how men are perceived. So there you go.
Can I, sorry to interject this, but I just looked it up myself, and because I hadn't heard of it, and the theme is better relations between men and women. So there you go.
Oh, well, there you go. Now that makes some sense, David.
Well, you know what? I'm not going to dispute that or diminish the importance of that. But the fact is, there is a date that's designated to recognize men, their contributions, and their relationships, and yet it's fallen under the radar, and which ought to tell you something about
so far over the
men,
top
I guess, being in retreat insofar as having any kind of recognition. That's all I wanted to say. I think I'll rest my case. I'll rest my case.
So this is the quarter board game you play on a regular chessboard.
All right. Well, that all being said, see how we mock it. Bear that in mind when we come to the distaff set. However, let me ask you about something else that's become important here in the province, where we've got kids. They're going to be given the vaccine as early as next week. There's a poll out that says...
Don't worry about what time of the month they get it. I'm concerned about what time of their life they get it.
For kids. 2/3, is that a critical
mass? Are you
mass?
giving them like a half a size dose at least? Like, are you giving them the adult dose and expecting this to
saying it's not necessarily a good idea, Mitzi?
Even my Dilaudid, the lowest dose is 1 milligram.
Really
Exception.
To get ahead of this issue.
Children and or anyone under the 50 kilograms and probably under a certain age. I don't remember.
For children 5 to
half
11,
doses, which are useless to anybody else.
The federal government is going to be providing all of the doses needed starting Sunday. And, you know, we want to get these jabs into the arms as quickly as possible.
Hold on, we were supposed to be talking about...
provincially, when it comes to mandatory vaccines for this age group.
What's that credit report? That was a fucking booklet. Not a book, but a book. That wasn't a flyer. Flyers are 8 pages. This is 12 fucking pages. This is a booklet.
At a more rapid
not a
rate
pamphlet, it's full size.
Today's infection. And
in fact, it'd be 24 pages if it was a booklet.
You know, mandatory vaccinations for measles and mumps and, you know, a whole host of other
it's not mandatory.
Childhood diseases.
It's not
this
mandatory.
Is something that
it's not mandatory in this country. It's not mandatory in this country. It's not mandatory. No one can force you to take any medicine or anything into your body.
Yet designated safe to take the vaccine. So, you know, this is something that we're looking for some leadership on. You know, it looks like parents are getting the facts and the information.
Yeah, you need some leadership because you're spouting unlawful shit. You're spouting, how do I phrase it?
We should be having this as even just.
All right, well, hang on just a second. I mean, that's the key. Wow. Okay, well, the nub of your argument is vaccine mandates for kids necessary. John Capobianco, over to you now. Do you believe that because there is a lot of resistance, probably even more so when it comes to kids than the adult
pretend it already is, but our argument is that it should be.
Mitzi on the right side of this one, or is that a dangerous development that you would have vaccine passports and mandates for kids in congregate settings like school or sports groups, etc.?
Sized correctly.
Well, I think first of all, the fact that Pfizer and Health Canada is able to approve this is great news. I know a lot of families who have kids that are 5 to 11 were quite frankly waiting for this opportunity. So the fact that now they can get vaccinated is good news. And I think it's going to go a long way in making sure that our numbers stay down. I think what we've seen over the course of the last little while are the kids who are starting to get COVID and we're starting to spread it. So I think the fact that they're going to get vaccinated is good. You know, it's a big deal, right? With 2/3 of Ontarians, you know, suggesting that they should be vaccinated, there should be a passport, means that we are getting to a point where Canadian people are just tired of those who are not vaccinated or not getting vaccinated. And the ones that are getting vaccinated, you know, if they want to go to a movie theater, if they want to go to a conference setting, there's
we don't. We're fucking immunocompromised, stupid.
Or passport, if you will, that says that you are vaccinated, you can go in. I've been doing that now for the last couple of months. We all have been, and
we're this close to 90% of 12 and up, not 18 and up or whatever. 12 and up.
I've heard from people who are doubly
what was it approved for? It was 18 and up or
their kids as young
old enough to sign a contract.
They're not all that enthusiastic.
Basically,
how do you explain
that? Age of majority for most purposes.
Most people, we've been conditioned over the course of the last 2 years of this pandemic that it affects mostly you know, people that are not that young, and you know, obviously in their older ages or 20 and above. So when you see somebody who's 5-year-old or 7-year-old, you're not really fussed if they're going to have a COVID because either they're going to be asymptomatic. Or they're not going to show signs of it, or chances are they're not going to have it. So I think
now I know there's going to be situations. When is a child how old coming up to you, forcing you to be in their space, making you go with them? When are they, you know, they have some symptoms, but they feel like going to work or going to the club anyway? What the fuck are you talking about?
Out of school because this is a congregate setting. If Mitzi gets her way, there would be a mandate for kids to attend school.
If a 5-year-old like fucking beats up another 5-year-old, the parent can get charged. But if this shit here, I can't fucking express. I can't express.
We'll wait and see how this plays out politically and otherwise. Let's come back in a moment. There are other things politically and otherwise that I wanted to address. Topics worthy of discussion. John Capobianco, Mitzi Hunter here on the Oakley Show. Global News Radio, 640 Toronto. 16 before the top of the hour. Back to the roads and a check of chopper traffic.
I'm not sure.
On the West 401,
can I line them all up some CLC?
Two center lanes, and problems on the West 401 past Highway 25 now clear. On the North 400 before King Road, crash here in the HOV and the left lane. Also on the southbound 400.
Now, bear in mind, I tuned that in on the premise they were going to talk about. When is this fucking? He said, is it really? So if it is 5:45 here, it is 2:45 most likely in Vancouver. Where is this motherfucker? Because it is afternoon in some parts of Canada right now. Even though the sun went down at 4:49 here, that is fucking incredible.
Hiking in the snow, gripping ice. At Toyo Tire, it's more than just that. Toyo Observe winter tires are designed and tested for Canadian winters. They have purified crushed walnut shells that act like tiny spikes that bite into any slippery surface.
I forgot about that shit. I read about that years ago in magazines when they were printed on old trees.
A higher degree of safety. Find a Toyo Tire dealer near you by visiting Tire Discounter Group's dealer locator at tirediscounter.ca/locations. Midnight tonight is the absolute final deadline in the Princess Margaret Home Lottery. Get your ticket.
La perte, l'enfant qui est placé au loin de sa famille.
Okay, I'm slightly so I keep tuning back. I haven't shut this off and tuned it out yet because they're talking about. They're supposed to be talking about. I didn't time this video today. Go, oh, Kyle Rittenhouse is gonna go to fucking, and I still get. You're not black. Why would you not at least ask me what the fuck I'm talking about? Okay, I didn't say something. I don't know what you thought I said. I didn't say anything that asked that question. Okay, unless you're specifically just refuting what is basically fact. And I will hedge this every so often and say, if what I have isn't sickle cell, tell me what the fuck it is. Tell me what my fucking blood type is. And I don't believe it's not, because so I wrote it on my arm. But I also got it on these nifty tags, which so my dog tag, hashtag my dog tags, I think. Yeah. That's what it says on the sticker somewhere. Somewhere there was an S. And the interesting thing is, so I wanted to say at some point about these. What I like very much is that the slight imperfections are exactly how the government would have really done it in real life. Like, I don't know how to put this. If a letter is slightly, lower than you would expect it to be, where you see that same letter, it's positioned exactly the same. So it's perfectly legible. There's nothing so far out of spec that it's a problem. Also, I did two things. I got the one to the left spacing, so it adds one more vertical line here, basically, or one more character per line. Now with the silencers, you might not be, or even just the rolled edge could be an issue. As you can see here, this one got clipped, and you might not be able to see. The stamp hit the rolled edge. Again, does not affect the legibility. I asked for the, in fact, it didn't cut the edge, it just imprinted it. So it's interesting that it was able to emboss the character correctly on both parts of the metal there. Okay, and I also got 11 characters per line instead of 10, so there's less space between them. So what they're telling you is we can set the machine to do that. It might smash characters into each other because they're just too close together. My name is long as fuck. And which leads to pointing at the fucking credit reports, leads to problems with that. I started off talking about the virus. The exclamation point character. Now, because I got two of them, I'm pretty sure that there's most of the characters I got more than one of. This doesn't occur with any of the other characters, but with the exclamation point, apparently it's set to the point where the very top of the metal, I don't know if this is an extra feature they did manually. I don't think so, because they both look the same. The material is scraped off ever so slightly, so on the bottom line at each end, there's you're not going to see it. In any event, looking at it in real life, I can see the bare aluminum. There's a very small at the exclamation points, which is the important. Thank you. So we're gonna. So this will end any minute. As soon as this thing about the fucking trial comes up, this thing, and watch, it's gonna end. This will fucking crash. Watch, or we'll lose audio. Watch. You've been down this road before. I'm not worried about it.
Senator Batters earlier this week, she had the audacity to, I guess, try to invoke a leadership review before the end of June by starting a petition, and there were just under 3,000 people who had sort of signed on. But they say she's not being kicked out of the conservative senatorial caucus because she's got some support there. So if this is riven the party, what do you make of that? Is the centrist direction that is taking the party really the reason that the Liberals are not being defeated more soundly, certainly in places like the GTHA and other urban centers? What's at play here?
Well, I think, you know, I haven't followed the election closely. And
Is it 8.5 million people or some shit in the GTHA?
Year and the election, I was impressed with how he was able to handle himself. But, you know, of course, during COVID.
All right, John, I'm losing you on that. Mitzi, do I have you?
Yes, you do.
All right. Well, you know, I mean, before we get to John again and reconnect, the idea, you know, that this is the point, Aaron O'Toole's leadership. I mean, I would think you favor somebody who's maybe showing a little more moderate inclinations, you know, on climate change and so on. And he's taking the party. Well, he's overlapping the Liberals to a lot of people's minds. In that case, is that a winning formula to vanquish the Liberals, or do you think that's just going to make them wander out in the wilderness longer?
What the fuck did this picture come from?
Well, it seems to be that they have not left the wilderness since their defeat in the recent election, and you know, this is just the latest news that they are divided, becoming more so. And, you know, the leader tried to, you know, expunge someone and, you know, her caucus said no, because the Senate does have their own voice and they're exercising that. I still think he's got an uphill battle when it comes to the leadership review, and it seems like it's gathering steam from what I can see.
Well, you know, the other thing is, of course, he's not in power. The Liberals may have those internal, you know, clefts as well, but, you know, Justin Trudeau can penalize people by keeping them off committees or not dispensing any goodies. So is it possible that this is just out in the open because, you know, O'Toole's not really in a position to keep people stifled because he can't cancel them out from any kind of appointment such as that, Mitzi?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think it's spilling out.
Oh, he's just screaming at me that I wasn't Mick Mac.
Don't you think there's internal things? I mean, I'm kind of curious. Are you saying everybody is really on the same
This behind the times, catch up.
Ranks?
Now onto the phase two.
You know,
It's black as well.
Certainly locally, I've seen a lot of members. I'm going to see a few tonight at an event I'm headed to in Markham. And, you know, I actually think that the Liberals are really busy with the big files. They're getting vaccines out for kids. They're you know, fighting the issues and flooding and
hold on. They're making it so you can do it. But where's the vaccine? Where's all these vaccines?
The Prime Minister and his team were out in force doing that. So,
well, wait a minute. When he was meeting with Biden yesterday, Mitzi, I mean, he didn't come away with any victories. As a matter of fact, reports have it that he was frustrated because Biden's still firm on his Buy America First policies, and this could impact our certainly our auto sector. Justin Trudeau didn't get Biden to relent on that. Still very much in play is the Enbridge 5 pipeline as well. That may be canceled as Keystone XL was. So how can you cite that Justin Trudeau is getting victories on the international level with the States?
He's doing the tough job, John. He's doing the tough job. Being, you know, the United States is 10 times our size, and he is doing that job.
But you said he was doing well. There's no indication.
The United States is smaller than Canada, you fucking asshole.
For every inch when it comes to trade with the United States, and he's down there. He's doing that. You know, I have to say, unlike what's happening in our province under Premier Doug Ford, where we didn't even replace our person who is supposed to be in Washington helping with this, considering that Ontario has 80% trade exposure to the United States. And
I had Vic Fideli on last hour, Mitzi. Excuse me, but Vic Fideli was on, the Minister of Economic Development, Job Creation and Trade.
Firing on all cylinders.
We're poised to really be the beneficiaries
of a revolver or
something. EVs and the batteries, because we have 4 major mining regions: Sudbury, Cobalt,
where do you think
just north of Timmins,
Red Lake.
He cited the Ring of Fire, and I challenged, saying that's not going to come online anytime soon. But he said the greatest nickel deposits, which are necessary for the EV batteries, are to be found, you know, still in Sudbury and north of Timmins.
Nickel, cadmium, and nickel metal hydride, but not lithium ion.
You've got to be
I don't
happy
think
that
they would call it nickel
towards supporting EVs and battery production here in the province of Ontario, are you not?
I am.
It says LI-ION, and the other ones all say NIMH.
On the EV industry, they canceled the rebate that we had in place. They ripped up charges.
Well, that rebate, Mitzi, $14,000 for wealthy people buying $100,000 Teslas. They didn't need the $14,000, so that was
misguided. Bigger checks than that at first. They didn't put a limit on it.
When you do that you signal to the auto industry that you're not in the game.
Well, how come your Liberal government decided 14,000 would be adequate for people who could have the means to buy some of these expensive cars? I mean, that was misguided. John's back with us now, Nancy. I'm sorry to say we can't just keep our conversation going between the two of us on International Men's Day, but John Capobianco. All right, Mitzi's made the case that, the Liberals don't have the strife that Aaron O'Toole's party does, and O'Toole taking them in a centrist direction as, a long-time conservative that you are. Is that a winning formula, or do you think he's straying from the path of true blue conservatism?
Well, look, I think Aaron O'Toole has always been a big kind of leader, John, quite frankly, and he's putting the party to where Canadians want him to be, quite frankly, and that's exactly where and why he did so well in the election campaign, notwithstanding the fact that he made some mistakes. But at the end of the day, look, he's going to survive this. There's no way we're going to go into a leadership campaign, whether or not Denise Tyler stays within the Senate caucus, which, quite frankly, the Senate has changed considerably, and it's not the political forces within the Senate as they were before are no longer the case. A lot of them are splintered off into other factions, so the conservative caucus in the Senate is not particularly strong. And the fact that Aaron O'Toole sent that message to her,
those hashtags there might help you out.
Against me and the party, then you know what? Then do it from outside, not from within. So I think from that perspective, I think it was a smart move. And
why dream to the min when you can dream to the max? Hi. Keith here from Speedy Glass.
No stopping that expenditure of advertising the province's gaming products.
There's no match for my team and I at Speedy Glass. We use cutting-edge tools to quickly replace your
business report, right?
Standards, so it remains structurally sound. And for added peace of mind, our work comes with a lifetime warranty. So don't let rough roads get the best of you. Book your appointment today at speedyglass.ca. Conditions apply. Details at speedyglass.ca.
Speedy Glass Replace. Now your business report with Richard Simmons.
There's going to be at least 10 more minutes before they get to this. I don't even know if they're going to get to this shit.
Canada's main stock index fell both.
They podcasted, but I want to hear it. You might want to see my reactions. I don't know if they're good, but they might laugh at me.
Down about 1% for the week on a whole. Energy was the big laggard today as the price of oil dropped 3.7%. Crude taking a hit, specifically on news of a big renewed lockdown in Austria. Price for oil at $76.10 per barrel. That weight on the energy stocks and plus shares.
We all know how much oil Austria produces. We know they're like the top, right up there at the top with oil production. Did I misunderstand?
About the COVID lockdowns globally.
I thought they had a gas supply problem. And floods and rain. All the same shit happening all around the world right now.
And Shopify was higher again. Fresh record for that Ottawa-based e-commerce company. Shopify up 1% to $2,139 a share. On Wall Street, the Dow Jones, the industrial average, moved lower. It was down 268 points to 35,601. The S&P fell from a record down 6, but the NASDAQ went into the weekend at a fresh record high, up 63 points to 16,057. TurboTax maker Intuit jumped 10.1% after raising its profit forecast for the fiscal year. Software maker Adobe was up 2.6%. Elsewhere, Tesla added 3.7%, and Nike was up 2.1%. To the downside in New York, Applied Materials down 5.5% after reporting weak financial results and a disappointing profit forecast.
What kind of material?
Your meme stocks, if you want to call them that, were higher, particularly GameStop.
I thought we were calling them Reddit stocks.
9% to $228.80. Canadian dollar down to 79.06 cents US. This is City News.
Upper Canada College welcomes students of the highest potential.
There's nothing about this city or the news. What the fucking hell?
An international baccalaureate world school from senior kindergarten through year 12, UCC is committed to a diverse, needs-blind learning environment, offering more than $5 million in financial assistance annually. At UCC, students are supported by
needs-blind?
Values learning, service, pluralism, and well-being. Find out more at ucc.on.ca. The wait is over. The savings are here. Black Friday starts now.
Je m'appelle Vendredi Noir.
Save on everything.
Parce que
car audio to car starters, laptops, and more. And we'll beat any price in Canada by 15% of the difference and guarantee that price for up to 60 days.
Plus, you save even more when you pick up in store. And get no interest and no payments until 2023. Black Friday starts now. See the flyer at visions.ca.
Now, City News regional weather conditions for IA Clarington Investments. Today's investor wants more than returns. Bring purpose to your portfolio with IA Clarington's socially responsible investment funds. Speak to your advisor or visit morethanreturns.ca.
This is blah, blah,
6 degrees
blah.
in Toronto, partly cloudy. At Pearson, 5 feels like 1 with some clouds. City News time, 6 o'clock.
Toronto's #1 for breaking news, traffic, and weather. This is City News 680 everywhere.
It's Friday, November 19th. Good evening. I'm Scott Burnett.
And I'm Caitlin Lee. Here's what's making news this hour.
The Federal government is looking for a connection after some people who use the province's vaccine booking system started receiving spam text messages.
A not guilty verdict for Kyle Rittenhouse, the 18-year-old who shot and killed 2 men and wounded a 3rd in Kenosha, Wisconsin last year, has been acquitted of all charges after pleading self-defense.
I thought it was guilty or not guilty. He argued self-defense. No,
measures amidst rising COVID cases.
The short-handed Toronto Raptors continue their road trip in Sacramento tonight.
Be able to get their COVID shots. A complete 2-dose series may be offered to children in this age group who do not have contraindications to the vaccine.
Pfizer says vials of its pediatric formula will start to arrive at vaccine sites across the country early next week.
What's different about
Sunday, according to Ottawa? It is expected all 2.9 million doses will be distributed by Friday.
Because who did you test that on first?
To offer a first shot to all eligible children in this country.
Timelines may differ province to province.
What is the purpose
there will likely be
mathematically?
delays due to the floods. But even if health authorities can get first shots into arms next week, kids still won't be fully protected in time for the holidays. Many Canadians will receive a mini dose, 10 milligrams, 1/3 of what adults get 8 weeks apart. The time interval is specified by the National Advisory Committee on Immunization to maximize immune response and
a lower risk of something like myocarditis with a longer interval.
There were no
What's the
reports
risk?
of myocarditis
What's the percentage risk of
pericarditis
that?
out of 3,100 children in Pfizer's clinical trial. Already, more than 2 million American kids under 12 have got Pfizer's Comirnaty shot. To date, no new safety issues.
I'm not saying you got to do them all at once. I'm saying you should do more,
But not every
slowly.
child should get the shot right away. The National Advisory
It's only
Committee on
3
Immunization
normal clinical trials,
suggests that
1,000.
if you've gotten a vaccine, such as your flu shot, you should wait 14 days
And one of them would be
before
the
or
control
after
group.
to get the COVID one. If the doctors can pinpoint the source of any adverse effects.
You're 2
if any.
50-50 double
Jamie Roth
blinds
of
and
Global
one
News
control
tomorrow.
group that doesn't get nothing. And you don't tell any of them who's getting
So
what.
Ottawa has said yes to the Pfizer vaccine for children, but there's a big
And the 100
question.
are that so in case some of them drop out of the study
That part of the story tonight.
or the data's unusable.
And these Toronto mothers are looking forward to getting their young children vaccinated against COVID-19.
This is the story.
peace of mind moving forward that we can start living full lives again. Her daughters fall in the 5 to 11 age range, newly
You can get all
eligible
sorts of
for the
like
shot.
socializing and go out and do it. Like,
It would be good because then people can stop getting sick and have to go to the hospital.
While the effects of COVID-19 infection
No,
in
it's not how it
children are
works.
generally less severe, they can still acquire the virus and pass it on.
If you look at any pediatric hospital, there have been admissions for COVID-19 related consequences as well. So, we have to acknowledge that, kids still do get sick.
there have
For
been
this
multiple
mother of
deaths from
3,
this year.
all under 11, the vaccine opens a door to normalcy.
To be able to really, see the grandparents, feel really safe about schools because it hasn't felt safe in schools.
Health experts say if
80%
you
of the
do
schools do not have
concerns or feel
ventilation.
hesitant about getting your child vaccinated,
Well, we're
now
going to
is
have
the
them
time
all
to speak with a
outside,
professional.
really,
That could be
in neighborhoods full of
pediatrician or
fucking
family
registered sex
physician
offenders.
or
Thank you.
medical care
There's a reason we
hospitals
want them in the school.
Virtual Q&As, and SickKids Hospital has a COVID-19 vaccine consultation service available.
And by the way,
phone.
stop stacking stuff up on top of the fucking fire sprinkler connections.
Risk-benefit analysis says, and also understand
These schools
that
are very
when
flammable,
adult
except the ones that are full of
is so
asbestos.
transmissible.
We'll probably do it. although we're a little bit trepidatious.
Paul and his sons had COVID-19 in the summer. While Dad expresses slight concern about the vaccine, he acknowledges it will keep William and Owen protected.
We kind of know what it's like, and definitely don't want to inflict that upon other people.
This pharmacologist points out the benefits
You've already had it.
outweigh any risks.
You're wasting your fucking
concerns that parents have, say with myocarditis. We know that these actually occur far more frequently with COVID-19 infections.
While elementary school children will be rolling up their sleeves next week, this parent of a preschooler is anxious for her son's turn.
He'll be 5 soon, and then he'll be able, hopefully, soon to get the vaccine.
Now, Toronto is wasting no time in getting ready to roll out the vaccine at a number
several
of
percentage points positive rate or
There will
something.
be 20,000 bookings
it's a lower rate with a higher
for 5
risk.
to 11-year-olds at a number of locations. There's also going to be school clinics
like the
and
tax
pharmacies
brackets.
and doctors' offices. Alan, all of this information and details are going to be coming out very soon. You can bet, given we know millions of doses are due to arrive by the end of next week.
Thanks, Karen. Now, inoculating kids should make school outbreaks less likely. As of this morning, Ontario reporting 599 out of almost 5,000 Ontario schools had at least one case of COVID-19, roughly 12%. 7 schools across the province are closed currently because of positive cases.
An engineering student at Western University in London has been punished for breaking the rules and not providing his vaccination status.
We're listening
In fact,
to the
he has been
fucking.
expelled. Harry Wade says he's
This
not
is not the top of the hour news.
and
This
has
is the fucking
refused to
hour
tell
of
the
news. I don't want to hear that. I
which
want to
led
hear.
to classroom arrests.
So I'm
captured
gone
on video.
because I can't take
Sean
this.
O'Shea reports tonight from London.
Have you been vaccinated? No. Engineering student Harry Wade making that point in the classroom.
You can find. I didn't realize. You can find this on this
First time I
website.
arrested was the day before, November 10th. It happened outside the class.
Arrested here as he's lifted out of the classroom by security officers.
Second time, that was November 11th.
This was recorded by another student in the lecture hall. Security officers called to remove Wade
Oh,
because
they're
the
officers
university
now.
said he was trespassing because he'd failed to follow directives to show
No,
that
they're not
he'd been
officers, or
vaccinated.
they would have been called
They
special
told me
constables.
that,
Make up your
I'm
mind.
under arrest, and I said I wasn't going to comply, and they said, fine, we'll have to cuff you here.
The university this week sent Wade a 3-page letter spelling out their
You can't
punishment.
do anything but ask
what
him
it
to
called the
leave.
most severe sanction available.
And when he
You are
doesn't leave,
expelled.
then you can call the
University
police. The
declined to
police
speak
can ask
on
him to
camera
leave.
and
Then if he
would not
doesn't
discuss
leave,
Wade's
they can
case
write him up for the
specifically.
offense and
But a
then arrest
spokesperson
him if he
told
still
Global
doesn't
News,
leave.
To date, 28 students of a total of about
That's what the law
37,000
says.
have been placed on involuntary leave due to non-compliance. Wade told us he expected more student support when he was removed from class.
Those are the people that have been telling me that they're on my side, that said they would support
So
me.
they tell you all
and
sorts
that
of
they
shit.
encourage my
They tell you they didn't
activism.
spike your drink. So with 30 some odd
And it was
cases
really
of rape.
disappointing to me to be escorted out in a silent classroom.
The price for refusing to comply.
By the way, why aren't we
costly
talking about
and
that?
avoidable.
Because at this point, I've been expelled, and that will last for the next 5 years, as far as I understand.
Wade says he hasn't decided.
Now listen to how. There's consequences to this. So I've been asked, did you hear how the voiceover leads the sentence in? He was saying something at the beginning of that beginning half of the sentence. The voiceover. Thanks, Sean.
The number of exemptions they're giving for unvaccinated people entering Canada, including for professional and amateur athletes. The government says it's actively looking at changing measures for Americans coming into our country.
Military
but no decision yet.
are exempt
Business and
too.
tourism groups call the changes a good first step, but they want to see all testing drop for all fully vaccinated travelers. Cormac McSweeney, Parliament Hill.
City News Time.
Terminal 1, this woman.
City News Time, 6 and 8. We're getting reaction to this news from travelers at Pearson Airport. We'll go back to Mark Douglas.
Well, 1, this woman is traveling with her family of 4 and facing a pretty expensive round of PCR testing.
It's just what you have to do.
And for this traveler,
Well, you
while he
have
doesn't
to.
necessarily agree with PCR testing at the airport, at least he understands it.
If you're vaccinated, ideally you shouldn't be taking a test. But the thing is, even people who are vaccinated end up getting contracting COVID.
But those who are most
Okay, so you
opposed to
did say that.
PCR testing at the airport
are those who have to pay through the swabbed nose to get like the woman I met making a sudden trip for a family emergency in Australia. She had to settle for the first PCR test.
It's your sinuses. It's not here. It's way to fuck up right next to your brain. They injure people doing it too. Why? Because they're not medical professionals. They're weirdos with a stick poking at the front of your brain. And you're not allowed to do it.
This is City News 680. Everywhere.
Don't you ever get tired of getting your own way? Focus. Attendu dès dimanche. Ça veut dire que certaines provinces pourraient donc commencer à vacciner des jeunes la semaine prochaine. C'est l'objectif du Québec, de l'Ontario, de Terre-Neuve aussi. On écoute à ce sujet le ministre de la Santé du Québec, Christian Dubé.
On a un objectif très clair, maintenant que ça se précise, c'est d'avoir fait une première dose pour tous les enfants avant Noël. C'est vraiment ça notre objectif. Alors, mettez ça là, que ça pourrait commencer aussi rapidement que la semaine prochaine. Ben, ça nous donne à peu près là, 3 semaines, 1 mois pour être capable de vacciner à peu près un petit peu moins que 700 000 enfants.
Du côté du Manitoba, on vise la fin du mois de novembre. Dans le cas du Nouveau-Brunswick et de la Nouvelle-Écosse, on n'en saura plus la semaine prochaine. Et un peu comme la vaccination des adolescents, il y a plusieurs provinces qui ont déjà confirmé qu'elles offriront une formule hybride, donc campagne dans les écoles et les cliniques. Pourquoi? Parce qu'on voudrait que les parents soient présents, parce que les enfants aussi aimeraient que les parents soient présents. À nouveau, Christian Dubé.
Plus jeunes, il faut qu'il y ait un climat de confiance pour des parents d'accompagner leurs jeunes. Alors, c'est pour ça qu'on va leur rendre la vie, on va leur donner ce choix-là de pouvoir aller avec l'enfant.
I got nothing for you. I got fucking nothing. A sweeping epic, Clive Cussler. New York Times best-selling author of Night of the Hawk, Dale Brown, Chains of Command. Oh, right. 1993, copyright date. Dale Brown takes a hard look at the future of America's armed forces. A great story of war. It should be. There's actually a word for those 3 dots, and you can make it one character if you got the right keyboard. A great story of war in a modern, unstable world. Remember, 1993. Larry Bond. The action is, as you expect from Brown, great. Kirkus Reviews. A choice of the Literary Guild, registered trademark, the Doubleday Book Club, and the Military Book Club. Under a new president, the future of the Air Force and the nation hangs in the balance. In Desert Storm, whoa, shit, Major Darren Mace made a fateful decision to go against orders, to abort a secret mission which was, in his judgment, ill-advised. His actions landed him in military exile. What is military exile? Like, what do you mean by that? Now, Mace has moved on to the Air Force Reserves. What do you mean? I thought you just said he was exiled. There's a new U.S. president, it's a new era, and a new war is escalating along the Ukraine border. What'd you just say? This time, Mace has a blah, 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 blah. This time, okay, I'll read it. This time, Mace has a partner, Rebecca Furness. Okay. The military's first woman combat flyer, and this time the chains of command are tightening around him. ... Ukraine border.
Vient contester la règle de la vaccination obligatoire pour les députés aux communes. Règle qui a été établie par le Bureau de régie interne. Les conservateurs avaient exprimé leur intention de le faire parce que, selon eux, cette instance n'a pas le pouvoir d'établir ce genre de règle et ça revient à tous les membres de la Chambre de se prononcer là-dessus. Reste que cette démarche pourrait les exposer aux attaques de leurs adversaires. À ce jour, tous les députés du Bloc québécois, du nouveau Parti démocratique, sont vaccinés. Il n'y a qu'une seule exemption médicale chez les libéraux.
Parlons voyage maintenant, Louis. Le gouvernement canadien confirme que les tests PCR ne seront plus exigés pour les courts séjours à l'extérieur du Canada.
They're paying $25 to people cash to get this vaccine. They already had it and shit. They're doing it with no gloves. It's fucking ridiculous. They should have been doing it at the same place.
À fournir un résultat négatif à un test
the fucking staff fucking playing with open fucking wounds.
par voie
Swipe the
aérienne.
mask down,
Va
play
incomber
with
aux
my bloody
voyageurs
load,
de
stare
prouver
at
qu'ils ont
me, put
passé
the
moins de
mask back on,
72 heures
touch the
hors du
coffee cup.
pays. Et ça risque de faciliter ça devrait bien faciliter la vie
fucking
des
die.
gens qui vont, par exemple, magasiner aux
I'm gonna
États-Unis pour une
fucking
courte
die.
durée. Pour les voyages plus longs, les tests PCR vont demeurer nécessaires. Les étrangers qui voudront entrer au Canada, y compris les Américains, devront continuer de présenter un test moléculaire négatif aux douanes. Et ce,
I should read like page 1 of like every book, and then we'll do page 2 of every book.
Pour eux, les règles pourraient changer éventuellement, mais pas tout de suite. Écoutons là-dessus le
Playlists
ministre de la
together and
Santé.
sort them all out.
Je voudrais aussi noter que nous réévaluerons les conditions d'entrée pour les citoyens américains qui voyagent au Canada et fourniront une mise à
If
jour
you're
sur
dual
tout
national to the
ajustement
all, Canada
à une
doesn't
date
have to recognize the
ultérieure.
treaty. That's
Le Conseil national des lignes aériennes a réagi, salue un premier pas de la part d'Ottawa, mais réclame la fin des tests pour tous les voyageurs entièrement vaccinés, quelle que soit leur nationalité ou la durée de leur voyage.
tests!
Et puis Ottawa élargit la liste des vaccins acceptés pour les voyageurs. Oui, toujours à compter du 30 novembre, le Canada qui va
This is going to be the top story.
des vaccins contre la COVID-19 que les voyageurs peuvent recevoir pour être considérés comme entièrement vaccinés au Canada. Les vaccins chinois et indiens, Sinopharm, Sinovac et Covaxin.
Well, you know what? It could be that they were replaying a fucking
Ce
episode.
qu'Ottawa vient faire au fond, c'est d'harmoniser sa liste.
No, it can't be. They were talking about that shit today.
Le gouvernement fédéral serre la vis à compter
gotta
de la
be in a different time
janvier.
zone.
De nouveaux groupes de voyageurs devront être entièrement vaccinés pour entrer au pays. Oui, les taux qui se resserrent, on sait maintenant que c'est à compter du 15 janvier que les travailleurs essentiels, comme les camionneurs, les travailleurs étrangers temporaires, les étudiants internationaux qui sont majeurs, les athlètes amateurs, professionnels notamment, ils devront être entièrement vaccinés pour entrer au Canada. Il reste encore quelques exceptions, Jean-Sébastien. On va admettre encore des gens qui sont partiellement ou pas vaccinés, comme des travailleurs du secteur agricole et agroalimentaire, des équipages de navires, de nouveaux résidents permanents ou des réfugiés, mais c'est quand même des gens qui seront toujours soumis à des tests de dépistage.
So from 700 hospitalizations from the flu to 17,
Merci, Louis.
just from the social distancing, all this shit, public health protocols, masking, and this COVID thing's still spreading around. You guys think it's a joke to spit and fucking snot everywhere like it's funny?
En Colombie-Britannique, plus précisément à Abbotsford, les autorités sont engagées dans une véritable course contre la montre pour protéger un maximum de maisons et d'infrastructures à l'approche des pluies annoncées pour les prochains jours. Notre journaliste Yannick Dumont-Baron est toujours sur place là-bas à Abbotsford. Yannick, il faut boucher un trou dans une digue qui protège le secteur de Sumas Prairie. Est-ce que les travaux ont commencé?
Oui, ça fait déjà quelques heures, Jean-Sébastien, et c'est pas un travail qui est simple. Hein? Les ingénieurs doivent boucher un trou qui a 100 mètres de long, à peu près 3 mètres de haut dans cette digue qui est là.
A gram of prevention's worth a kilo of the cure, or whatever the fuck the saying
Et à
goes.
l'intérieur de ce bol, c'est là où il y a ces fameuses terres agricoles, ces endroits où il y avait énormément de vaches, de poules, ces endroits inondés, vous avez vu les images. Donc, on a vu aujourd'hui des pelles mécaniques, des camions remplis de terre et de roches se rendre sur place. La zone, elle est hors d'accès aux médias. Il faut laisser l'espace sur ces routes qui sont quand même étroites pour que les camions puissent circuler le plus rapidement possible. Ce matin, il y avait quand même de la confusion parmi les résidents parce que dans le plan original qu'on nous a annoncé hier, je vous en avais parlé, on parlait de construire une digue temporaire de 2,5 km de long. Et ça aurait impliqué qu'on inonde volontairement une zone. Donc, il y a une vingtaine de maisons dans ça qui auraient été inondées. Donc, ces résidents-là ont passé la nuit à se poser des questions, à déplacer leurs meubles, les équipements mécaniques qu'ils pourraient pour les mettre à l'abri. Ce matin, on attendait, on ne savait pas trop. Là, finalement, ce plan-là, il a été abandonné. On va simplement boucher le trou de 100 mètres. Le maire, tout à l'heure, n'a pas expliqué vraiment pourquoi il y a eu un changement de tactique, sinon qu'il a dit que les conditions avec l'eau avaient changé.
J'imagine que ces travaux font partie des tâches principales des soldats canadiens là, sur le terrain.
Ah oui. Ça, c'est leur mission numéro 1 aux yeux du maire. À tout le moins, il y a déjà 62 soldats qui sont ici. Il y en a une autre soixantaine qui sont attendus, dont des Québécois. Donc, ils vont appuyer d'une part les équipes de la ville d'Abbotsford, des constructeurs privés qui sont à pied d'œuvre sur la digue. On veut le boucher d'ici lundi soir, ce trou, parce que après ça, on attend beaucoup de pluie. Dans l'ensemble, c'est une mission importante pour les soldats de Valcartier. Là-dessus, voici le lieutenant-colonel Alexandre Dubois, qui est commandant de l'escadron 430.
Une trentaine de personnes qui partent cet après-midi, puis quelques autres pendant le week-end. Là. Donc, nous, on s'en va là-bas avec 3 hélicoptères pour aller supporter le le gouvernement provincial de la Colombie-Britannique. Et présentement, on parle d'une trentaine de jours. Évidemment, comme la situation évolue, ça va évoluer, donc ça peut être moins, ça peut être plus. Alors, l'ordre de mission pour ces Québécois qui arrivent avec leurs hélicoptères, c'est du matériel vers la digue, peut-être. Sinon, c'est déplacer des vivres vers les communautés qui sont toujours isolées ou encore amener des gens qui ont besoin d'une assistance médicale précise.
Qu'advient-il des agriculteurs de Sumas Prairie, là, qui sont sûrement pas au bout de leur peine?
Ah non, pas du tout. Aujourd'hui, on a eu l'occasion d'aller en bateau avec des gens, des civils qui participent aux efforts, qui se promènent et qui vont chercher des animaux qui ont été abandonnés sur des fermes, par exemple, ou encore aider les gens qui sont toujours là et qui sont coupés des liens terrestres. Ces bateaux, c'est le seul moyen de transport pour atteindre les fermes. Elles sont séparées par des centaines de mètres de terre inondée. À certains endroits, on passait, il y a 2, peut-être même 3 mètres d'eau. Les véhicules, on voyait simplement le toit des véhicules à certains endroits. On a vu des corps d'animaux morts, flottants. Et ces hommes-là en bateau cherchent des volontaires pour aider un fermier. Entre autres, il y a 150 vaches qui sont dans l'eau depuis le début de la semaine, une eau qui est assez froide. On veut bâtir une rampe pour leur permettre, sinon on risque de les perdre, ces animaux. Vous imaginez donc la souffrance en descendant de ce bateau-là. J'ai croisé une famille qui possède une pépinière. Leurs petits arbres sont inondés. On ne sait pas combien de temps ces arbres peuvent survivre dans l'eau. Écoutez, la fille du propriétaire, elle s'appelle Sophie.
Sorted out pretty fast.
Like we're used to that. They all speak English.
It's like really bad. I've never seen nobody has ever.
Vous l'entendez, Jean-Sébastien, elle dit, on espère que ça va se faire assez rapidement parce que dévasté de voir ces petits arbres sous l'eau, bien sûr. Mais quand je lui ai demandé, est-ce que vous croyez que les efforts vont assez vite? Là, elle a hésité. Elle a hâte que ça se termine, mais en même temps, on comprend que tout le monde fait de son mieux. Il y a beaucoup de critiques ici envers les autorités. On dit peut-être qu'on aurait pu donner l'alerte plus tôt en fin de semaine, envers les policiers qui maintenant empêchent les navires privés d'aller dans ce secteur vers les fermes et vers d'autres villes qui sont coupées par rien terrestre.
Notre journaliste Yannick Dumont-Baron à Abbotsford, dans le sud de la Colombie-Britannique. Merci beaucoup, Yannick.
Bonne fin de journée.
Et pour plus d'informations, consultez notre site web, notre application Info et surtout notre section régionale Colombie-Britannique Yukon. À l'international, voici une affaire au confluent du sport et de la politique. La disparition d'une vedette chinoise du tennis féminin, Peng Shuai, depuis qu'elle a dénoncé le 2 novembre un haut placé du Parti communiste chinois pour agression sexuelle, affirme-t-elle, suscite de plus en plus de réactions dans le monde, jusqu'à celle aujourd'hui du Haut Commissariat de l'ONU aux droits de l'homme, c'est à Genève ça, qui réclame dans un communiqué des preuves sur le lieu où elle se trouve pour savoir si Peng Shuai va bien. Le Haut Commissariat demande également une enquête transparente sur ces allégations d'agression sexuelle. Alors, je vais en parler avec notre analyste aux affaires internationales, François Brousseau. François, à moins de 3 mois de l'ouverture des Jeux olympiques d'hiver à Pékin, la Chine se retrouve encore une fois sous le feu des critiques. Est-elle vraiment embarrassée aujourd'hui dans cette affaire?
Vous savez, Jean-Sébastien, la Chine excelle d'abord dans la stratégie du dos rond qui consiste à laisser passer une tempête, convaincu que ça va retomber, qu'on va oublier l'affaire. En plus, on le sait, ce pays est devenu tellement puissant comme partenaire économique et commercial, un partenaire avec lequel on ne peut pas trop se permettre d'être fâché, que Pékin peut aussi ajouter les menaces de représailles envers quiconque oserait y aller de critiques trop sérieuses. On a des exemples dans le sport, je vais y revenir. Par exemple, voyez comment sont retombés les appels au boycottage des Jeux olympiques d'hiver de 2022, malgré le bilan épouvantable du régime de Xi Jinping en matière de droits et libertés.
Pourtant, dans cette affaire-ci, il y a l'ONU qui critique, il y a aussi la société.
The essential traffic.
We still have a couple of in-town issues to factor into your drive. For starters, front.
The glass, right?
This investigation underway, and we also have some problems still on the go. Front Street remains shut down west of Spadina to Portland. Again, this police activity is still underway. Glass falling from construction site earlier today. Eastbound Girard past Woodbound, a stalled vehicle in the right lane.
Can you explain to me how that's happening? Like, I want to know, what are you doing that the glass just falls out?
Taken out with this collision. Still lots of time needed to drive home this Friday evening now. Your next car is only one stop away. With Kijiji Autos, you can get on-the-spot financing of thousands of vehicles from your home. Accelerate to drive, Kijiji.
It was a siren, it just stopped there.
he would do his lift and run about. When your workout's a joy, it's a joy to work out.
Can I get down to this? I am so disappointed in all this shit. And for all the difference I'm making, I might as well fucking be inside the fucking facility right now serving dead time or some shit. I'm getting very confused by all this. No one can explain to me how the fuck I'm the one that's always to blame for everything. No flooding, yeah. Right? No alligators, no dinosaurs, no bears, no flooding. There's coyotes, but I try to chase them out.
Tonight I shall sleep with a smile on my face.
So anytime I tried for the last month to call the city, it's busy.
Duke Ellington à la tête de son orchestre qui accueillait comme soliste invité Tommy Dorsey au trombone, Johnny Hodges était au saxophone alto, Billy Strayhorn au piano. On va poursuivre avec la chanson I'll Never Smile Again qui a été écrite et composée par la torontoise Ruth Lowe en juin 1939 à la suite du décès de son premier mari, interprétée pour la première fois par l'orchestre égalitarisme chinois.
Alors revenons pour finir sur cette affaire Poncchois et François. La femme de 35 ans a disparu depuis cette dénonciation du 2 novembre. Est-ce qu'on peut s'attendre à ce qu'elle réapparaisse?
Oh, ça serait étonnant, à moins qu'elle n'accepte de se dédire et de s'auto-dénoncer dans la plus pure tradition chinoise. Parce que du point de vue des autorités, cette femme a fauté gravement contre le prestige du régime en dénonçant un très haut gradé qui lui-même n'avait pas de problème avec le régime. Il n'était pas du mauvais bord, il était vraiment dans la grotte.
Spinning at a high rate of speed as it's being lifted by the crane. The glass then smashes against the building, sending shards raining down below. Paramedics say the man was struck, but is expected to survive. Business News is next. An eye on your money, brought to you by Desjardins.
So we have subway crashes, we have floods on the DVP that leave trains just sitting there. I don't know what it is. Just stop and flood. Just keep fucking going, stupid, till you're out of there. They leave like Lamborghinis and shit in the fucking sewage water. People get hit by streetcars, Corvettes hit fucking buses or some shit. Like it's fucking incredible what happens there. And all them white bicycles everywhere, that was somebody that got smoked by a car that shouldn't have been. I need a different source of something. It is 2326 hours. Please ping the hell out of the router right now because we're gone. Shout you out. I'm if I did my job essentially. I showed you what's going on, but this is. Well, anyway. Like I say, no news is good news. Some shit. Don't be good at it. No. What's this? Why is that highlighted? Okay, I don't want that.